Ding ding, round 2 here on Racing Post Live with the Betfair Exchange. The wonderful Guineas weekend. We're back at Newmarket and we go up to Haydock as well for 3 races. I mean, this is a fantastic Sunday card. Bruce Millington back in the chair. We've been talking about Sundays, haven't we? A little bit on postcasts and on whatever we've done. We couldn't have asked for much of a better Sunday, could we?
No, we couldn't. It's an absolutely brilliant one, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, that they need to inject a bit of quality into Sunday racing. They do it in Ireland and France, and I don't see why they can't do it here. They just need to commit to putting a few more races on, but let's not worry about the future. Today is absolutely sensational. Really looking forward to it. 7 enthralling races, culminating obviously with the head scratcher that is the 1,000 guineas.
It is a bit of a head scratcher, isn't it? Do you know what? I was a little bit rusty yesterday. You pulled me up on a few things quite rightly. My phone went this morning, right? And it was my father-in-law. He's a former deputy head. Doug's his name. He's a formidable character. Most of them are, aren't they? And he said, your old editor was right, you know. It's Dahlia, Dave.
Yeah.
Not Dahlia.
Absolutely.
Then I put it down and I went, well, all right, wipe my brow. I'm going to have to get over this one. However, the phone rang back 5 minutes later. It was my mother-in-law, another ex-deputy head. She said, if it's in America, it's Dahlia.
All right. You're just,
and
it's a very elaborate way of making your point.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm back.
Get on with the show,
I am
man.
back. I had to get that in. But listen, I've been a little bit rusty, but I'm buzzing today. Barry Orr, the big hitter from Betfair, he joins us back on the show as well. Barry, are you buzzing?
I certainly am. I can't wait. No mention of monoski from you there.
Absolutely.
You gave that one a swerve.
Yeah, good shout.
Listen, absolutely. Bruce is my auditor and quite right to get the red pen out at times. I was a little bit rusty, but I'm feeling good about today. I don't know. This, for me, is a proper punting card. I'm a little bit more exposed than I was yesterday. Up at Haydock, of course, we wouldn't usually have Haydock running, in conjunction with Newmarket. The Pinnacle Stakes. I mean, there are some really good horses. Fanny Logan, who goes for John Gosden up there in the Pinnacle. She will be one of the make or break horses, I think. Have you got big punting ones? Can you let us into a little bit already?
Well, yeah, I do quite like the card today. I mean, the race I'm really looking forward to at Haydock is the Brigadier Gerard, which is obviously normally run on a sort of a balmy Thursday evening at Sandown when half the Racing Post turns up and all gets on it. Slightly different circumstances today, a kind of a damp day at Haydock Park. They've had a bit of rain, but the going is reported as absolutely as it's described, good to soft.
Been rain at Newmarket too.
Yeah, but that's fine. I don't think we've seen anything at either of the tracks so far today to suggest that the rain's going to really warp the ground or make the form anything other than as reliable as it has been.
Saw some course records, didn't we? Of course, fastest ever Guineas, big tailwind had a lot to do with that. But Kamiko, headline, horse of yesterday, big did you a turn, and Paul Keeley, of course, was very positive about it in the paper. Looks like it's Derby now. We've got a new Derby favourite. We're starting to get there now, aren't we?
I'll tell you what, there was a very interesting quote from Andrew Balding where he said, we'll have to ask David Redvers, who obviously is instrumental in Qatar racing. He says, because, the breeders don't look kindly, to paraphrase, it was something along the lines of the breeders don't look kindly about a Derby winner. Now, is that what it's come to? That if you win the Derby, the breeding industry, scorns it? I mean, that's a bit of a worry, isn't
because
it?
it's speed, Dave.
No, I mean, something's gone wrong. If Amy a Guineas winner at the Derby is an unsexy thing to do.
And Barry, with the Derby in mind, Betfair have got him now, roughly around about 3s, is it? Something like that, I would imagine, Barry?
Yeah, he's 3 to win, clear favourite at the moment, Dave. We went 3 off the back of yesterday's win. I don't think there's been many people getting involved at that price now, it has to be said. If anything, I don't think he'll go off favourite in the Derby just yet. I think, there's other horses to come into the picture for sure. Royal Ascot will tell a tale as well. So I don't know. Connections this morning, I did hear Sheikh Fahad say that, all roads lead to Epsom. It certainly looks that way, regardless of what his bloodstock agent, David Redford, says. So he's definitely heading towards Epsom, that's for sure.
What do we think Palace Pier will do?
That was sizzling yesterday, wasn't it? I'm not sure what Racing Post rating we got, whether the handicapper boys have attained in one yet, but for me, that was near star performance yesterday.
So, but does he go St James's Palace?
It's got to be St James's Palace.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But then, all they said afterwards was he'll run in stakes races now. Well,
he was meant to run in the
guess
Guineas,
that,
and because of that injury layoff he had, they thought, right, let's go for the softer one. I think the horse that he beat, acquitted of Hugo Palmer's, came there to win the race. I think he will win races.
Last night, only one bookmaker was pricing up the St James's Palace.
Was he quoted?
And he was 11 to 2. And I always have a saying in betting, keep your eye on the prices and let the bad ones jump out at you. And that jumped out on me.
Because
I don't know what you think, Barry, but I thought 11-2 for St James's Palace. I think the big danger there is that he's so good that they actually maybe think, look, we've got to go for the derby here. But if he runs into St James's Palace, he's never 11-2, is he?
Yeah, his dad has him well groomed, doesn't he? He didn't give a whole lot away, young Thaddeus. All he said was that it'd go for a stakes race. It doesn't give us much of a look behind the Wizards' curtain there. But I suppose, the St James's Palace looks obvious. I don't know how that form stacks up just yet. I just take that with a pinch of salt for now. Wouldn't be getting too excited about him just yet until we see him in proper graded company.
Too late. I've already got excited.
Yeah,
Had
same.
a big bet.
I've got to say, absolutely same. We know you're excited out there because you're watching. We did delighted with our viewing figures yesterday, and we had some great feedback as well. Keep it coming in. Hashtag RP Live, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Thank you for getting involved. It's going to be some ride, let me tell you. We're going to be going to Barry's selections first, so you can get a lot of time, because Barry had a good day yesterday, let's face it. We won some nice money for charity. That's what we're going to be doing again today. If you want to go in with Barry, we'll be going to him first, and then myself and Bruce will be putting the bets on. You can see exactly how it works on the exchange. If you're a beginner, don't worry, you're going to learn a little bit today if you're watching here on RP Live. And we actually have a social comment. Let's get to this. What have we got coming up on the screen? Mark Perryman. Mark, welcome on board. No derby certainty at the moment for me. Wichita has to be watched. Yeah, he ran a blinder, didn't he?
He did run really well. Yeah, I mean, he was up with the pace all day and all through the race. And I thought he ran a really, really good race. And if he takes to Epsom and he stays, he's going to be hard to kick out the three, isn't he? At this stage, it's so funny, isn't it? That going into the one real piece of disruption, I guess. I know the Guineas starting a bit late is disruptive and different, but the derby taking place in early July after Royal Ascot is a real head scratch. So you're going to have horses winning at Royal Ascot that suddenly enter the derby picture. I mean, I think I'm a little bit kind of OCD, and that kind of thing just completely spins my mind, But
yeah,
it's going to be a different derby this year. It's going to be punters are going to have to approach it differently. But it may well be that at the end of the day, you end up with English King winning the Lingfield Derby trial, just like Anthony Van Dyke did last year, and then going to Epsom and winning it. I mean, at this stage, did we see anything yesterday from a Derby perspective that was so impressive that if you owned English King, you'd suddenly think, well, hang on a sec, I'm not as confident as I was, after he's won at Lingfield?
It has to be the Guineas, doesn't it, I think? And Military March, Barry, was a horse that we talked about pre-show yesterday. We would like him to run on to a fourth or fifth. I asked you immediately after the race whether you were happy with that. You were expecting maybe a little bit more. I thought it was a perfectly good trial.
Yeah, I looked back on it a couple of times last night, Dave, and on reflection, I suppose he did stay. He looks like he stayed on well. He looks like a horse that's crying out for a step up to 1.5 miles. We saw that last year with him as well. I suppose in hindsight, having watched it a couple of times back, I think he acquitted himself admirably under the circumstances, and 1.5 miles really going to suit him. I don't know whether he's going to be my Derby pick now, though, off the back of that, with so many other horses coming into the picture.
Mogul might have something to say. Don't forget, of course, Ireland back tomorrow. Bruce Nace and those O'Brien horses, they're going to be ready as well, aren't they? And let's face it, they usually win the derbies. So,
well, you say, I mean, the 3-year-olds. Well, I mean, again, another interesting thing. We'll get onto the first race at Newmarket in a sec. But O'Brien 2-year-olds, how much can he do the usual thing of just letting them have a run and not being too worried about winning? There's so many different challenges that face trainers this campaign, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it all pans out. But first up, Newmarket 150, Dave. Take it away.
Yes, the Buckhound Stakes. Now, you said about races being run elsewhere. This is usually at Ascot, you'll remember. Barsanti won it, I think, last year. A horse that we looked towards maybe for the Hardwick or something like that. So this is a fascinating race. Why? Because we've got one standout horse. And again, Ryan Moore could be set for a decent day today. He's on Communique, who we can see, Bruce, roughly around about the 5-2 mark at the minute.
Yeah, just a little bit more. It might be just the wise one to just name-check the sponsors here for this race, Dave.
Of course, and it is, of course, funnily enough, 17 out of 19 last time. Yesterday race. How many races have you sponsored today, Barry? Get that in.
All bar the 1,000 guineas.
All bar the 1,000 guineas, which of course I should have known. Tick for another rustiness there for Dave. It is the Betfair Exchange, Buckhausen Stakes, of course. And Communique, Barry, let's go back to this in the market. This is a horse who on official ratings, he's 2 from 2 at Newmarket. He's Mark Johnson. He's Ryan Moore. What's not to like about him at the top of the market? Is he your pick?
Yeah, he's my pick, Dave. I think he'll take an awful lot of beating here. Ryan gives it a favourable mention. Obviously, I don't think he's sat on him yet this year, but he's 2 for 2 at the track, like you say. That's an important feature. The horses of Mark Johnson are going particularly well. And I think at around 3.6, he's just a little under 11 to 4. I think I want to back him at that price. But because he's quite a keen free goer, he's made all in a couple of his races. I think we're going to put in to lay the stake back at around the even money mark, and I'm happy enough that I think I'll get matched at that. If something comes from behind to do him, it won't cost us any money. I think I would get matched at even. So if Bruce would like to go on to the exchange and just select to have 50 quid on Communique at around the 3.6 mark, Bruce, I think that's quite a decent price.
How much are we having? 50?
Yeah, we're going to have 50 quid on him at around the 3.6 mark. Happy enough to do that.
We've got 3.7. How about that?
Lovely. Yeah, take that.
I sort of feel like
11 to 4.
I feel like Carol Vorderman when I'm putting your bets on for you. So I'm taking 3 from the top.
If only you look like her.
I couldn't afford the surgery, mate.
Now what we're going to do now, Bruce, I'm going to put in a bet and keep it to get matched in running. So I'm going to look to lay that now at around the even money mark, which is 2 on the exchange. So if you select Communicate to lay it
at 2.
At 2,
for
yeah.
50?
And then for 50 quid. I just want to get my stake back, yeah.
Just talk us through the rationale there, Barry. Why is it that you think that this is a bet worth doing rather than just have the win bet and let it run?
Yeah, I certainly will. For me, the rationale behind it is, like I said, this horse should get out and try to make all. Obviously, it's his first run of the season, like all of them. And if something, it could set it up just for something to come from behind. He might be just a little bit susceptible to a finisher in the last furlong and a half. If he is, I don't mind. I'm comfortable that I think I could get him matched in running at even money. And if something comes to do him, I think I have a great chance of getting my stake back. If not, I'm happy enough to give the 50 quid away and still stand to win. I still stand to win about 160, 170 quid.
Okay, so let's come back to my screen now because there's one more little thing I need to do just to make this happen. So if you're not quite sure about how you place a keep bet, like I say, we've put in that we want to lay at 2. Obviously, that's not going to get done because the current price is much bigger than that. But if we just click on that keep button there and hit update, what that does is it makes sure that when either, if, you know, this isn't going to happen, but theoretically it could, the horse could get smashed up before the race and hit evens, in which case you get done. But far likelier is that it means that once the race starts, you don't have to mess about. You've already placed your order, and if he hits evens in the run, you'll get matched. Hopefully that makes sense.
It does, and thanks for talking us through that, Bruce. A couple of people yesterday were saying to me, why is Barry doing this laying? How is exactly it's going? So I think they got it by the end of the programme. So again, if you're a novice to this, don't worry about it. Even if you're an experienced user, you'll be knowing about it. You're going to do a lot of the comms today. A sterling job yesterday.
Thank you very much.
Is the voice raring to go?
Yeah, no, we're all right. We're
Happy
okay.
days, all right.
There weren't any hideous blunders, so I feel like I'm due an absolute horror, but hopefully we'll get through it.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about this race a little bit more. Myself and Bruce have been asked for selections as well. I did tick Communique, I must say. On paper, look, this is a horse that's racing on level weights, isn't it? He's got 7 or 8 pounds in hand, and you get the feeling this might be his cup final, Bruce, don't you?
Yeah, he's 4 from 4 at Newmarket, 2 at each track there. And again, just, you know, if you're tuning in and saying, what do you mean 2 tracks? There's 2. Newmarket is one of the most interesting places any racing fan should go. And if you go racing, the grandstands are probably half a mile apart, are they, Dave?
Yeah.
But there are literally 2 separate race courses: the July course, which they obviously race on in the height of summer, and the Rowley Mile, which they race at the beginning and the end of the season. The reason being they race so much at Newmarket that if you just had one track, it wouldn't be able to take that much racing. But anyway, we're racing on the Rowley Mile. Communique's won 2 from 2 there. He's also won 2 from 2 at the July course as well. But I think those form figures and you know, the fact that Newmarket is quite a nuanced track, the fact that he goes well there, he's got the best form. Mark Johnson's horses are flying. Ryan Moore's riding. You know, it's basically tick this box, tick this box, tick this box. And I actually think, I thought he'd be a little bit shorter. I thought he'd be nearer somewhere like 3 or 3.2. So 3.6 or 3.7 as we got does for me perfectly well.
There are more unexposed horses stepping up, aren't they? Trushan's certainly one of them. First in line, John Gosden, Frankie Dettori not surprisingly, Johnny G has got a decent record in this. Falak as well, he's a very interesting horse for Hamdan. And William Haggis with Jim Crowley on. Again, beautifully bred. He could have more to offer, but they've got to step up. Ryan Moore also, the previous time he rode Communique, you got it, he won. Barry, so there's Bruce saying a little bit bigger than expected. Is there anything coming? Where's the solidity against him?
Yeah, it's quite a settled market at the moment. Trushan for Alan King has been well supported. That's into around the 9-2 mark now. And first in line for Frankie Dettori, again, that's something that's come in for good support. Was 6.6, which is 11-2 earlier this morning. That's into just a little over 4-1 now. So probably the best backed horse in the race. And I think it's fair to say the favourite a little bit easy to back. Like Bruce, I was looking at 9-4 this morning, 3.25 in the exchange, and I thought that was even going to harden under that sort of mark. But it's out to 11-4 now, 3.75, and just a little bit uneasy at the head of the market, but money for the Frankie Dettori horse first in line.
There's a lot of love for him in the paper, isn't there? Keels has gone for this, I think.
Communique, yeah, there is. But those two, Trushan and First in Line, are very, very solid. They've held up well. Their form is really closely linked, and
it is.
Trushan's beaten First in Line last two. The first of those was quite easy. The second one, First in Line, under any interpretation of pounds and lengths, is weighted to reverse. I think it's £9 for a length or something. And the market's kind of reflecting that. But, I still think that if Communique does his running, he's just going to be a little bit better than them. But they do have, I suppose, the advantage of potential.
Let's go to a social comment. I think we've got another one coming in. Let's have a little look on the screen. Mario Kart, very good. Keep an eye on Ghost Watch. He really looked like a promising horse a couple of years ago. Yes, he did. He's not been seen for 611 days. Charlie Appleby, not worried about that, really. I think they thought he might be an Ebor type horse. That might be something he's got later on. So many horses.
Well, hang on a sec. That mention of him, he's suddenly jumped down in the market. I mean, he was done at 20 and he's now 7.8. So that is potentially really, really interesting. That could be the curveball in this race. So Mario Kart is absolutely right to point that out. That's where suddenly you're looking at another reason, apart from this, how solid the second and third favs are. One of the reasons Communique is where he is because all of a sudden there's a bucket of money coming in for Ghostwatch, 7.4. The price is dropping as we speak.
Who's weak then? Falak, I think, and probably Dashing Willoughby. Dashing Willoughby, was it Queen's Vase last year that he won? It was a mother and a father of a race, that wasn't it, that he won at Royal Ascot, and probably just hampered a little bit. He could be interesting fresh, I think. Falak, I was expecting to be a little bit shorter. Don't forget to get your social comments coming in. Hashtag RP Live. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know. I always go through them at the end of the day. It's always interesting. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you think of the show. They're just sort of ambling on their way down to the start. You talk about Trushan, just going back to him. We talk about Ghostwatch. He's coming back off a 611 day. Trushan, we've not seen him all winter. Alan King did well to hold on to him, actually. I think the Australians were hovering over him. You're right, his form was really good. If you remember on his last start in Newbury, beat a horse called Hamish, which everyone thought was an absolute certainty that day. And he's a strong travelling horse. He's got a lovely attitude. It's just, again, whether some of these may be looking at a target a little bit later on. With Communique, you just feel this could be, for me anyway, this is his big day, I think.
Yeah, possibly. Trushan's uneasy now. He's at 6.8. You are right. He's exactly the sort of horse that tends to get bought for big money and go to Australia these days.
Melbourne Cup type.
But he's still there. And I don't know what it is. I've always been drawn to an Alan King horse on the flat. I just think he's a brilliant.
Was it Primitivo that won at Royal Ascot for him? Yeah.
That actually went off. Massive fan of Alan King horses. I don't know. You get these things, don't you, in your head? You just get, and whether it's because you kind of, your affection for them is more than it should be because they've done you a favour with a bet in the past, and you take your time to forget the losers.
Might have jumped a hurdle as well, mightn't they? Who Dares Wins, horses like that won a Northumberland Plate. Alan has had 8 runners so far this week. He had a near miss yesterday at Lingfield. Apart from that, they were looking like they might. And of course, Rainbow Dreamer ran well in the Sagaro Stakes. He had a say, didn't he? So
Barry, this market's jumping around now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gone a bit funny now. The favourite's out to nearly 130. He's 4.2 or 4.3 is 130 now in the exchange. Like you say, Ghostwatch was 21 this morning. I think there's about 20 grand gone on that in the race. So that's seen his price crash. Obviously, these graphs are available to anyone to see. You don't even have to be a have to be a customer, you can log on and have a look at the graphs and see full transparency there, where the money's been going in the race. Just click on the graph to the left of the name of the horse. And anyone to see that will see that Communique is taking a massive walk in the market. I don't know as something happened to the parade ring or on his way down, but he's out to nearly 7-2 now, having been as short as 9-4 this morning. So big negative for that. First in line, holding steady, and Ghostwatch, who I couldn't have that in my mind coming off the back of the absence he has over 600 days. But sometimes those horses, their first run back is their best.
Yeah, and also Secret Advisor's quite solid now. The top one in the first Godolphin colours, 11.5, just out to 12. So, I came into this thinking Communique is going to be the one to beat. True Shan and First in Line are going to be the ones to give him the most danger. But the market does not see it that way anymore, and it's really shaken up.
The one thing I would say is Mark Johnson's horses, I don't fear them when they drift. They're not really, everything tries out of that yard. They're not really a punting stable as such, that euphemism of punting stable. But all the horses, it's his motto, isn't it? Always trying. And I think I wouldn't read too much into what is not really a massive drift in terms of like from 5-2 out to 7-2. It's only a point really.
One of the questions I always ask judges on flat racing is, are you good at reading Johnson? Because it's not a normal stable, is it? It doesn't operate in the same way. I mean, they run and run and run and run and run, they're sort of caricaturised as these kind of binary 1-0 form figures. It's not as simple as that, but he is a hard stable to read, isn't he?
Not able to, if you can't forgive a Johnson, or there's something wrong. If you think about a Goodwood, all the fourth strings win, don't they? Let's remind us of our selections, and I think it's 3 ticks for Communique, lads, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And as with Barry, I'm not fussed about the drift.
They are going in then, Bruce. Over to you to call the opener, the 150, the Betfair Exchange Buckhound Stakes, Mile 4.
Okay, yes, 12 furlongs. They will head down the straight, and they will head along and then turn 90 degrees right and into the long finishing straight. They are off. Communique is away okay on the outside. The early pace setter is Dashing Willoughby. Also well to the fore at this stage is Kelly's Dino, and True Shan as well has been sent up now. So it's True Shan and Dashing Willoughby setting the pace, and Communique is marking the early moves. He's up there in third. Any market moves from what we've seen so far, Barry?
No, not really. Communique steady away at around the 4-1 mark at the moment. Ghostwatch is into 4-1 or 5-1 as well. That it's relatively light market at the moment. No real moves since they broke from stalls.
So Dashing Willoughby cutting out the early running from True Shan, and then Kelly's Dino, who has grabbed third back from Communique, who is in fourth. The well-back Ghostwatch is in fifth. On the inside of him is First in Line, and then we're back to Falak, followed by Secret Advisor, and also in the rear of the field it is Rakib Al-Hawa. We've also got to mention Floating Artist, who is currently sitting in 8th, 7 furlongs to go.
He's just having a niggle at Communique now. They're not hung around, have they, at all? They're
no,
nice
they've got a fair
down.
gallop. Yeah, they've got a really good gallop, yeah.
And he's lost favouritism, hasn't he? First in Line now, just about favourite. This market is wide open. It's pretty much 5-1 each of 4. Long way to go. The race is yet to unfold, but you would definitely think Ryan is absolutely beginning to move his arms much, much earlier than you would have hoped for. And Ghostwatch is coming there as well. So
First in Line.
Dashing Willoughby from True Shan, from Kelly's Dino, from Communique, who is definitely being niggled at. Then comes First in Line, then comes Ghostwatch, and they are the 6 at this stage you fancy to fight.
Now he's coming, Communique. Now he's
coming in third, but True Shan's going well, and Dashing
Come
Willoughby
in,
as well. Oisin Murphy on the top of his game from winning the 2,000 Guineas. He's still lolloping along in front. So it's still Dashing Willoughby. They haven't got to him, and I'm not sure they're going to. Communique's challenging for second from True Shan, and First in Line is coming up in fourth as well. But we've still got Dashing Willoughby in front. On the outside, Secret Advisor's making up late ground, but it is still Dashing Willoughby the one to beat. I'm not sure they're going to get to him. It's a ding-dong battle for second, third and fourth. Dashing Willoughby is then to the final furlong. He's got a 2-length lead. Coming on the outside is Secret Advisor. He's going to be the big threat, but I don't think there is a threat. Can he get there? Dashing Willoughby swerving towards the line. Dashing Willoughby holds on. Beats Secret Advisor, and I think First in Line got third. Communique never landed a blow. That was pillar to post from the man of the moment, Oisin Murphy, on Dashing Willoughby, and it's Andrew Boarding as well. So the 2,000 Guineas winning connections, team up and win the Betfair Exchange Buckhound Stakes. A classic display of front running.
Good call, Bruce. And you're right, you absolutely called it 2 furlongs out. He just kept filling his lungs, didn't he? That ability to stay further has obviously been seen there. Communique looked like he got a little bit, maybe sulked a little bit that things weren't going his own way. It was a brave effort for him. I think he was about fifth. Haydock came there at one point. Not sure what price he went, Barry, in running. Absolutely cruising. First in line. I think he had absolutely every chance. But this is a horse that they thought the world of at Royal Ascot last year. They all gambled him to win. It was on horrible ground, you'll remember. It seemed like the slowest final furlong you'd ever seen. He didn't quite come back from that. The angle fresh. And as Bruce said, the stable is firing. Barry, tell us about the market.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, the winner, first time as a gelding as well. But Haydock, the horse that you marked as a stalking the leaders at one stage, he traded at a low at 2.28, which is 5-4. The runner-up, Secret Advisor, who came with a swooping run on the outside and just got the winner just came across him just ever so slightly. There was over 1,300 quid traded at him at 1.31, which is 3-1 on. So yeah. A lot of in-running layers get their fingers burnt with the second and third in the race, or second and fourth in the race. But yeah, the winner, pillar to post, he's given a really good ride. And gelding is the first time. He'd some good form in the book last year as well. And yeah, they're riding the crest of a wave, the duo, weren't they?
Guys, this just proves a point I picked up on yesterday. The Betfair market loves a horse that isn't in front. How could that possibly have got done at 1.31, Secret Advisor? I mean, yes, there was a brief second where it looked like he might be a danger, but never 3's on, Barry.
No, it's hard to say. Like, he's only just touched off, really, isn't he? I'd say another 100 yards and he's going to go up and he'll win going away. He just got motoring a little bit late, but like you say, Bruce, I suppose some people get caught up in the moment when they're coming with those swooping runs on the outside and they're trying to judge where the winning line is. But unfortunately for Secret Advisors backers, it just wasn't for today.
It was an exciting race, wasn't it? It was 6 all up. I mean, Trushan's run really well. He stalked Dashing Willoughby all the way throughout. They'll be happy with that. Alan probably not absolutely firing like some of the bigger yards at the minute, but they'll be thinking definitely this is an Ebor trial more than a Hardwick trial for me. You've got a Secret Advisor who was conceding the £5. He has to emerge the best at the weights. He's come from off the pace as well, which hasn't been that easy this week due to the tailwind. The ground looked fine, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I haven't seen any evidence of the clock to suggest that there's anything dramatically unusual about it. It just looks like with First in Nine and Trushan, they'll keep meeting all through the summer and keep finishing right next to each other like they did there. But decent win by Dashing Willoughby there. And again, if you're latching on to these informed stables at the start of the flat season, then you may well have backed Andrew Borden because he's absolutely red hot at the moment. Not just the Guineas win, they've been flying all through this first week since we resumed, and he's definitely worth keeping an eye on for, you know, while the iron is so hot.
Yeah, let's tidy it up then if we can then, boys. The SPs, let's see where we got off. Around about 17-2, wasn't he, I think? Secret Advisor was second, of course, and First in Line third. So, again, a form race to follow, really. And, you know, lots of you will have been on that, as Bruce said. Congratulations to you out there. Let us know what you thought of that first race. Just seeing the times coming up on our screen now. Yeah, it's a fair time. So, good ground looks to be just about what it is. At 8 mil yesterday of rain, which we thought might complicate things. Stalls on the far side, of course, anyway. So that's Newmarket. We're off and running. We're building up, of course, to the 1,000 guineas. Another classic for you here on RP Live. That's 3:35. That'll be our final race. Thick and fast, the action will come. And it's time to bring Haydock into the party. The 205, the Betway Pinnacle Stakes. And it is in complete contrast, Bruce, to the race that we just had. We're now talking about, what, a 5-runner field, and a very warm order in Fanny Logan.
Yeah, I mean that's my selection, but I'm not sure I would have if I'd seen the market. I'm not sure I'd have latched on evens. That seems a little bit short, doesn't it?
I think this is an even money shot.
You do?
I do. When she ran, I thought she ran a massive race at Santa Anita, and she had a terrible draw that day.
Yeah.
And I think for a filly that had just come through the grades, it was a brave shout to go there. I like her a lot.
I was there for that.
Were you?
Yeah, I was. I'd love to be able to add something. Like I noticed her.
Do you think you're going to be able to get there later in the year?
Like that, but I didn't. I think I was probably tucking in some lobster at the time. So that's not much insight. But yeah, I mean, it was. You're right. It was a good run. Iridessa won it.
Yes.
And they all finished very close up.
They did.
Look, I mean, that does show that, you know, she dines at a very lofty, if not the top table.
Yes.
And she, you know what? The interesting thing about this race is that you've got two horses in her and Manuela de Vega who are absolute metronomes in terms of how reliable they are. And then you've got a stouty improver like we saw yesterday with Queen Power, you know, the sort of filly that Stout excels at bringing on once they get out of their second season. And the question is whether she's got the improvement that she probably needs to get past the front two. I mean, if she doesn't, then I think the Fanny Logan, Manuela de Vega forecast is quite appealing if you don't want to take evens. And it's also very interesting, obviously, you know, talking again about trainer form with Manuela de Vega. Rafe Beckett's had a pretty wretched start to the season. Kinross actually ran pretty well. He was 6th in the Guineas. He ran better than I realised at the time. But he's popped up with a 16-1 winner in the first at Haydock today. That boy, absolutely whizzed up. So, you know, if you were concerned about backing Rafe Beckett horses because the stable's out of form, then you don't really need to worry because all of a sudden, like I say, he's banged in. And it wasn't just, you know, a winner. It was a really impressive winner.
It's a tough thing, that, isn't it? Especially in this unprecedented time, following stable form. We have an Andrew Balding horse in this as well. We should say Shailene is in there, who again looked like a bit of a working project, even though she was a 4-year-old last year. And on official ratings, with SDS on, she's not. He wouldn't be surprised if she went and did it. She's a distance winner as well. Fanny Logan's got to give away £3, so the handicapper thinks that Manuela is the one to be on it. It's just she does tend to. It's easy to say she tends to find one. She's finished second in 4 of her last 5 starts or whatever. But I thought this was I thought Fanny might be the one that goes on to run in the Prix de l'Opéras later on, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you could be right. I mean, the only thing. I mean, the thing with Manuela, when they run consistently and have these 2s and 3s by their name, you can almost get a reputation as being potentially ungenuine. Yeah. I think in her case that's entirely unjustified. I just think, you know, it just so some horses are going to keep finding 1-2 good. There's nothing in the way she races that suggests, as some racehorses do, a small number of them, you know, these are herd animals, they just don't like running at the front of the herd. You do get some like that.
Yeah, I think it is a small percentage
and particularly over jumps, if you see horses with 2s and 2s and 2s, you kind of think, hang on a sec, does he or she fancy being in front? I don't think with her. I think she's perfectly game, but she just happens to have found one. And today might be her day. So, you know, if I'm coming into it and I see that Fanny Logan's 10-11 and Manuela is 7-2, I'd probably go with Manuela. But I've nailed my colours to the Fanny Logan mask, so I'll stick with it. What are we backing, Barry?
Well, I was laying Fanny Logan. I was laying her at evens before you two went on with your soliloquy. It's out to looking 218 now, so we're under pressure here. I wanted to lay Fanny Logan, but if you go and press the lay button and we'll take the odds down, because I want to set the odds. I thought I would have got her a little shorter than the 214. Like I said, I thought I'd get her at around the even money mark. If you pull her down to around 206 or 208, I'd be willing to give up, if you take 100 quid at the backer stake. So set our own odds. Now it's gone back out to 214, as you see, but set our own odds at around the 208.
Do I do a keep bet there, Barry, or should I just wait and see what happens?
I think we'll get done at around the 208 mark. We should get done. There's been plenty of money for it.
I've put her at 206. She's coming back in now, so hopefully we'll get done at 206. Or shall I nudge out? Shall I nudge out?
Yeah, I'd happy at 208.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
So again, you can see from what's happening on the screen, as a punter, you've just got total flexibility to choose your own odds. You can decide to react to market moves or whatever. You know, you've got so much control, haven't you, over what you're doing?
We're setting our odds there at 208. So our money is going into the back column. We want someone to come in and back that with us. So it's currently 212, 210, 208. So we're the third in the box there. It's back out to 216. I think we're going to have to go around the 210 mark, maybe even 212 to get matched, Bruce, the way this market is moving. They're chasing out the price a bit. It's gone 216 now to back. So if we go 210.
I've gone 212. Let's
212 should get us done. Yeah, I'd be surprised if 212 didn't get us done now. Now you have to remember with this filly, she was matched this morning at 11-8 against 236. She was matched around that mark. So there has been plenty of money for her. And sometimes you get people who are just selling back prices into the market. They're kind of just managing their risk.
What's the clue? Why don't you like her, Barry?
I just thought there was a couple of fillies in the race that potentially could put it up to her. And at the price, obviously, she's having her first run. She's bigger targets than this as the season goes on, as we saw last year when she ended up running in the Breeders' Cup. So I just think there's Manuel de Vega's in there with a chance. Sir Michael Stout's filly ran very well last season. When we saw her in York that day, she only gave best a search for a song, who went on to win the Irish Ledger. So she's a good filly as well, Vivian.
She looks well down at the start, actually, Barry, as well. Yeah, that was her first one in listed company, wasn't it? As Bruce was saying earlier, just the sort that Michael Stout does so well with. Let's have a look for some more social comments that are flying in today then, what we've got on the screen. Let's see if we can find one coming up. The boys have been telling me. Yes, OK, Joseph Baker out there. I fancy Ryan Moore and love for the 1,000 guineas. Do the guy think he's in with a shout? Also, happy birthday for Friday, Dave. Oh, words out. It was indeed my birthday on Friday. Thank you very much, Joseph. Love and Ryan Moore. I've put it up because I think she's the most likely of the front runners to run her race. Maybe we'll come back to that in a little while. But good to have you on, Joe. And they're going in.
We've got matched.
We're matched.
We're matched at 2.12, so that's good. The feature of the market in the last couple of minutes is how friendless Manuela de Vega is. She's out to 6.2. Vivian is 4.5.
What price?
4.5.
Wow.
So the second favourites have definitely flip-flopped. So almost all in.
Yeah, take it away, Bruce.
5 runners, got half a chance here, haven't I?
You're doing a grand job, my man.
What are we expecting to happen? What might there be an early move for here?
Manuela can go on with it. Vivian last year looked like she might like to get on with things as well. Fanny's definitely a stalker.
Okay.
Never said that before.
Just let that comment hang for a couple of seconds.
Cheers, Bruce.
Anyway, they are off, and a little stumble by Manuela de Vega, but she's all right. She's fine. She's regained her equilibrium, and she has got the lead. And she goes up. She goes on from the George Strawbridge colours of Shaleen in second. Already quite well strung out. Vivian is third. Fanny Logan and Rob Havlin on the outer of the outsider, who is Bella Vita. So a fairly strong pace been set by Manuela de Vega, who's opened up a 4-length lead already. And what's that done to the market, chaps?
Yeah, with the favourite just a little bit jumped out nice and fast, but was reined right back by Rob Havlin. Drifted out to 2.38. Is still around the 2.38 mark. So if we wanted to lay back it in running, we'd cover ourselves in glory and go a green book. But we're happy enough to leave it. It's a good set pace being set by the one in front, currently 5-2. Although they're a long way from home.
This has gone clear.
This is one of those fascinating races on the exchange where a horse goes miles
yes.
clear. Manuela de Vega is probably 6-7 lengths clear of Shaleen, followed by Vivian, followed by Fanny Logan, followed by Bella Vita. David, what do you make of this?
Well, Fanny Logan wears a hood for good reason, doesn't she? And that's why they have to hold her up. I'm surprised that Vivian's maybe not a little bit closer, but I guess with Manuela going off like this, that the Doylers had to just take his medicine a little bit. I'd be happy with Fanny, I think, but don't forget Haydock is such a sharp track.
Yeah, absolutely is. But and they're making that really sharp turn into the home straight. It's a long home straight. Manuela de Vega enters the home straight, probably 4-5 lengths clear of Shaleen. Vivian, Fanny Logan going nicely. There's no panic there at all.
Out to 5-2 now, Fanny Logan, Bruce, on the exchange. Out to 7-2 now, and the one in front coming up the centre of the track looks to have them all at it in behind. But
long odds
Fanny
on
needs
now.
to make up ground. Out to 8-1 at one stage.
What
Fanny
price?
Logan,
What price, Barry?
Manuela is 2's on now.
Here comes the Logan.
2 furlongs to go. The lead has been eroded, and Fanny Logan is back as favourite because Rob Havlin's rode a cool race. He's still got probably 3 or 4 lengths to make up. But Manuela de Vega is still entering the final with a 2-length lead. But distress signals coming out. Having said that, Fanny's taken her time to close. It's still Manuela de Vega from Fanny Logan. I think Manuela's going to hold on. There's 100 yards to go. Manuela de Vega, a fantastic front runner ride by Rob Hornby, beats Fanny Logan by 2 lengths. Running on for third is Vivian, and then Shaleen, and then Bella Vita. A fascinating race, a brilliant performance by Rob Hornby. He wins the Battle of the Rob H's. He's beaten Rob Havlin on Fanny Logan, and Manuela de Vega makes it a double for Rafe Beckett at 4-1.
Congratulations, Barry. The lay was done. Again, the money we're going for charity, of course, will go to the welfare. And we got around about, was it 75 quid yesterday? Something like that, wasn't it? Around about in the 70s, something like that. It's all for charity, what Barry's doing, of course, and you can see on the exchanges as well. What a fascinating race. The King is back.
Yeah, he is. King Rafe is back. 2 from 2. I mean, he'd had a miserable first week, but that does just show, doesn't it? You mustn't fixate on stable form over a short period of time.
Has the £3 made a little bit of a difference there? She looked in trouble, didn't she? 2 out. You called it. You said she looks like and they're coming. But the only thing that could have possibly got nearer was the favourite. Some people will be screaming at Sally saying, why have you had it so far back? She is a horse that needs to be ridden cold. She's got that hood on. She's buzzy. And that looked to me a bit like a first run back. And like you said, Rob Hornby got it absolutely spot on. Haydock, front runner's track.
There was a point, wasn't there, Barry, where Fanny Logan actually just about regained favouritism momentarily there.
Yeah, traded at 1.94, a low 1.94, just a little over 10 to 9 on the exchange and the run in, just with a little over furlong to go. Looked like it was going to reel in the winner. But full credit, I know you're saying punters might be screaming at the television. Full credit to the winning jockey, Robert Hornby, cracking ride off in front. Obviously, that's a double for the stable now. That's a double for Ralph Beckett on the card. 2 out of the first 3 races he's landed, and horses obviously hitting a bit of form.
Okay, so Rafe Beckett having a very good day. As Bruce said, Kinross didn't run badly at all for one so inexperienced. May fold, more to come from him in the Guineas. Race first ever 2,000 Guineas winner. Probably would have been a little bit disappointed with how things had gone last night, wouldn't he? And now, all of a sudden, back in the big time, bring it on. He's got a big chance in the Pretty Polly later on, isn't he?
He does, yeah. That's going to be very interesting now, isn't it? What's it called? Trefoil.
Trefoil.
Yeah, that was actually very popular in the market this morning. He's also got a couple down at Lingfield, which we'll keep an eye on, just in terms of being able to gauge how much King Rafe's stable have bounced back to form suddenly. I love those races, though, where a jockey makes a really bold, positive move and the others are then in that awful position of not knowing whether to stick or twist, and they waited and waited and waited. And really, again, if you look 3 furlongs out, Rab Havlin is giving 6-7 lengths to that horse. And the thing about Manuela is she's got a ton of form in the book. You know, she's been placed in all sorts of decent races. You can't really expect to just sit there and watch her and hope she's going to come back to you.
And coming back to your pre-race comments, Bruce, you were saying the horse that's got the 2s and 3s, sometimes ungenuine, absolutely nothing wrong with her
Nothing wrong
whatsoever.
with her at all. No, she was fantastic.
Rafe Beckett can get on these runs, can't he?
Of course he can.
He can, yeah.
It was interesting there as well that the winner elected to come up the centre of the track. The horses that stayed to the inside, the Sir Michael Stout one, and to a lesser extent, the runner-up, Fanny Logan, just couldn't make any ground up. So it could be that the softer ground is on the inside and the centre of the track is the place where you want to be.
That's a good shout. The first winner of Beckett's also came on the outside, didn't it?
It did, so, that's exactly right. No, that is a good call, Barry. And again, you know, some of these jockeys get out there and they exhaustively walk the track beforehand. Others will sit in the weighing room and, you know, it was Phil Robinson who was always the king of where to
walkers,
be,
that's right. And they used to follow him, the jockeys.
Yeah, they would always,
follow the leader.
and then in more recent times, Steve Drown, I think, had a reputation for being the man who knew where to go.
No, a race called Stewart, of course, yeah. So listen, we've had 2 races here on Racing Post Live. We're absolutely buzzing. Barry got a bit of money there for charity. We're on a roll. We're going to get Barry's selections in nice and early because you know you like to follow them out on Exchange Land. Interesting what you said as well about the... Let's just have a look at the time.
The times are decent, aren't they?
Yeah, it's goodish ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that Haydock can get a bit puddingy, but not today. Interesting what you said there about when a horse goes forward, exchange players almost become the jockeys in behind, don't they?
Yeah.
They've got to think, you know, what price am I going to... Have I gone a little bit too late? Have I gone a bit too soon?
I don't know, from literally... Well, it's pushing 20 years now of spending far too much of my life watching him running betting markets on Betfair. If there's one thing that I suspect is true, and I'm not a kind of Simon Rowlands type who will sit there and do those hard yards to stand it up, but just something I suspect is that, as a rule of thumb, the Betfair market seems to favour hold-up horses over horses at the front. I mean, one of the stupidest phrases in racing is he's won it the hard way.
It's something you've hated for years, that, isn't it?
That's the easy way. Yeah. The hard way is where the jockey sat there like a wally and given somewhere between 3 and 8 lengths up, soft lengths early on, and then has to make them up when they're actually racing.
You sit on the order of the tracks all the time, absolutely, yeah. Okay, so let's tidy up that. So Fanny Logan went down. A lot of you, I know, would have been on that. Saw a lot of social... for that earlier on. Fanny Logan gone down. So we've had Communique sunk, Fanny Logan sunk in a really good betting heat coming up at Newmarket now. It's handicap time. 2 horses at the top of the market in the next at Newmarket. Let me get the race title right about this because I know there's going to be a Betfair in there. Let's face it. Where is he? 225 we're coming up to. It is the Betfair Exchange Bet in Play handicap. It's basically named after our show, isn't it? And really interesting market, this, guys. I'm not just saying that. It sounds easy, doesn't it, to try and whip up these races all the time, but this favourite, or just about favourite now, A Good Birthday, is a horse that I have a lot of time for. And Davydenko is another one that could be well ahead of his mark, Bruce.
Yeah, and again, I think that now makes the last two races now. I think Shannon Balding is 7 from 26 this season.
Good
7
shout.
winners from 26, and he's had a ton of places as well. So they're absolutely electric, and that might be the reason why Good Birthday at the moment is just about winning the battle of favouritism over Davydenko for Michael Stout. But I think there's a lot more mileage in this market before the stalls open, Barry.
Yeah, I really like Davydenko. He was the only blot in his copybook last season was the Britannia. He won 4 races outside of that. There's a lot to like about him, and he's a horse that they should do really well with this year. He's a horse that tends to thrive within Sir Michael Stout. I'm going to lay Good Birthday, Bruce, and I'd like to get it now before it drifts out any further.
Okay.
I think he's been overbacked already because of connections. Obviously, Andrew Balding's horse is in flying form. Usheen riding the crest of a wave as well, as we said earlier. And I think if we can get him at around 3.5, 3.6, I'd be happy to take 100 quid out of him at that price to lay the 200.
All right, hang on a second. So I'm not putting 100 in here, am I? Because then we're risking 250. So I'm putting in what, 35? Is it? No,
No. I want to risk the 250. I'm happy enough to do that here. I think it's a false price. I think Davydenko has a good chance. West End Charmer, I've given a big chance to. Desert Icon as well. I think we can get this beat for the charity Good Birthday. And like I said, I think it's been overbacked.
I think that they've listened to you already. People must be listening to this show, Barry, because he's drifted already. I've put in 3.5, but he's at 3.75 now. We're just going to have to sit and suffer, aren't we? And hope he comes back in.
Take 100 quid. Put up to take 100 quid out of it at 3.6 or 3.55 around that mark, and we'll leave it up there and we'll see what happens. We can reevaluate over the next couple of minutes. But for me, it's a very hot contest. I think the favourite has been overbacked, and I think he's definitely a lay in this race.
I think with our responsible gaming hats on, we should say it. Barry's risking 255, but Barry is trying to win. Not only is he incredibly wealthy, but he's also trying to win money for charity. So. We're not advocating that if you're sitting at home and your normal bet is a 5, that you suddenly go on the exchange and start smashing 255 quid risks up. So
most
just
certainly
want to get
not.
that point right.
Yeah, most certainly not. We are winning money so far for the charity. I think we're winning. What are we winning? It's about 170, 180 quid. So I'd like to try to maximise our opportunities when for the charity. And for me, this horse was the one standout lay of the day for me, and that's why just taking a little bit more at the price.
Can I counter the Davydenko? I'm going to counter it.
Go on.
When he won at Doncaster last time, it was an absolute Mickey Mouse of a race. First time out, giving £7, Barry, to Good Birthday. Good Birthday ran in the Cambridgeshire when we last saw him. He beat Desert Icon the time before, he reopposes. The 7-horse here for William Haggis and Tom Marquand. He beat him with loads in hand that day. I just thought, right, this is all over a Cambridgeshire horse. They pointed him that way. Keith Melrose in the paper this morning, from betting editor of the Racing Post, said that was the handicap performance of the year from Lord North, who we're going to see later at Haydock for John Gosden. Good Birthday. If you watch that back on your replays in your members club, you're going to see nothing went right for Good Birthday whatsoever. He finished with loads in hand. I'm certain that he's better than 98. And the Balding factor, Oshie Murphy, I think this is the one that's going to get them on the board. So while I'm, he's on fire, Barry, but at the same time, so that sort of tempers me a little bit. But Davydenko, I think 105 is kind of about right. I was telling you a story off air, wasn't I? I saw Michael Stout the night before he ran in the Britannia, and the only horse that he wanted to tell me actually was this horse. There was a deluge, and nothing went right for him. It was that race where Biometric beat Frankie. Do you remember when he was going for that 5-timer or whatever? And of course, he's come out and won twice since, so I was on for the duck egg typically. But the ground, I think, is in his favour. It's just whether first time out, £7 a Good Birthday, that's a biggie. West End Charmer, any love for him?
There is a lot of love for him. He's solid at 5.4 and Desert Icon is 7.2. It's an 8-runner race, and if you want to back each way, there's 4 real rags here. So they've, market-wise, never mind the race, they've split into 2 groups very much. I'm not sure we're going to get Good Birthday done at 3. Mind you, he's coming back in, and that's encouraging. So we've got 3.55. He's just ticked back into 3.6, Barry. So if we're patient, we might get that done at 3.55.
Yeah, I just leave it up there for now, Bruce. Patience is a virtue, especially on betting exchanges. When you want to sit down and you're just playing with the prices, I'm happy enough just to leave it up there for now. We've a couple of minutes yet. Interestingly, on Davydenko, at least we know he's going to stay the mile 2, and that's something that's important in a race like this. Obviously, he's rated 105 now. So if he's as good as maybe the stable think he is to warrant him staying in training as a 4-year-old, he'd want to be going very close off that mark in a handicap like this.
Check out your members section because Paul Keeley, really good day yesterday, not surprisingly, with Kamiko being the highlight. Not so good on Communique, but he's really keen on this as well, Paul, this Davydenko. So just to remind, Barry very keen on Sir Michael Stout's Chiefly Parcours. I'm hoping to celebrate a good birthday. You're the same, Bruce?
I'm Davydenko.
Davydenko?
Yeah.
I thought you were a good birthday coming in here.
No.
Oh, right, so 2 against 1 again. I'm
not ultra confident. I think it feels like, again, I fancy him, but I don't feel like I'm getting huge value. But it just feels, that's the one I've gone with. Good birthday. We've had half of this match now, Barry. So we've got £51.75 match. We're still waiting to get the rest done. So at the moment, the red figure is £131.96. And the green is 51.75. The current price, we should get done. He's back to 3.55, so fingers crossed he'll be okay. A little nibble for for a couple of the outsiders, actually. I suppose Sky Defender at 23 and Dalgarmo at 25 both represent shorter prices, fairly considerably shorter price than they were a little while ago, but it doesn't take a huge amount to send one of those roughies in, does it?
Sky Defender, stablemate of West End Charmer, of course. West End Charmer, better know, he's coming back off a layoff, isn't he? Mark Johnson, not too worried about that. Whether he wants a little bit further, I think, and he was well beaten first time out as a favourite last year, so you've got that on your mind. There's some interesting characters in here, of course. A Master of the World, so well known, isn't he? Again, better known as a polytrack horse, I think, these days on the all-weather. As is Dalgarno, who you mentioned, and Sky Defender as well. They should have a bit more residual fitness, say, than maybe some of those that haven't been seen so far in 2020. Pace is interesting, I thought, because Davydenko showed in his races, no problems about some donkey work there. Potentially West End Charmer might take him on Sky Defender as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, you reference pace far more than I do.
It's something that, I tell you what, I watch a lot of Australian racing, and actually that's where I cut my teeth, all these years ago, and you get taught about pace maps and things like that, and certainly in sprint races you look for where your front runner is, not necessarily so much these days about where the best ground is, it's where the pace is in these races. I like to get a leader in my sights and one that might tag onto it, basically.
Yeah, I'm not too fussed, because unless something unusual happens, I think it's sort of it just generally pans out how.
You can't really trust jockeys all the time, can you?
Well, exactly. But I was feeling bad yesterday because you were referencing sectional times, and I was saying, well, I'm not really a fan. And he's referencing Bloodstock, and I'm thinking, well, I'm not a fan. I was thinking, I'm dreading it if Dave turns around and says, well, how do you actually pick your horse?
It's a pin job for Bruce. Yeah, no.
I literally just go on the form. I mean, I don't care.
Fair enough.
I don't care whether they've shown early or late or whatever. I just care where they are at the line.
Yeah, this is a tricky race from the training perspective because it's the first time this race has been run at this meeting, so we don't have any models to really go on. So it is a case, I think, of just looking at the form and what factors there are in there. What you said about the mile 2 for Good Birthday, I mean, Barry, he's a Cambridgeshire horse, isn't he? And you should be getting it in a small field like this, but I think tactics-wise, we can expect him to be sitting in midfield potentially. How's the market looking now?
Yeah, he's a winner over the trip, of course, but at the moment, Good Birthday out to 3.85. So if we wanted to cash out at it, if we even wanted to have 50 quid on it, if you guys thought it was a bit tasty taking the 100 quid out of it, we could half our liability and show a little profit on that. Davydenko, very clear favourite now at 3.6 at the moment. Good money, West End Charmer as well. Desert Icon standing strong at his price, which is 6.2, just 5-1. And Delgrano, that was 30 this morning, and he's into 24, so a few quid knocking around for that as well. It's a really good betting heat by the looks of it. Nearly over £500,000 already matched on the Betfair exchange, but you can have 3-1 Good Birthday now, so it's that's out to 3-1. We laid it at 5-2, so I don't think we've done much wrong there.
Should we do that, or should we sit in?
We haven't backed 2 horses in a race yet. Of course, that's something that exchange players can try and cover half the field.
No, just lay back. Good Birthday, lay back part of the liability. But I'm happy enough to stick with what we're at, Bruce, at the moment.
Okay, we'll let it run. Fair enough. Desert Icon's popular, 6.2. That's a positive move for him. West End Charmer is very steady. And in actual fact, Davydenko and Good Birthday are on the slide. Sky Defender's come in to 19.5. So there's not a huge amount of confidence in the front 2 on Betfair exchange as things stand. They're just beginning to commenced the loading process, so they'll be off and running in a couple of minutes. We should be off pretty much to time. And I must say, that is one thing that I am so pleased about having British racing back on for. That French stuff, I mean, you know, it was good racing, but you didn't have a clue when they were going to run, did you?
No one's as bad as the Americans, are they, on that front?
The whole thing's terrible. You know, if you're a punter, you tune in at a particular time to watch a race, and in France, it was like 15, 20 minutes. I know they were feeling their way back in and they had to be safer and everything, but I just find it really annoying as a punter that
they can go way
you back
over,
a horse in the 440, you tune in at 440, and you know, you're catching the previous race virtually.
Did you watch any of the Gulfstream when it was the main American sort of staple diet? Sometimes we took it 15 minutes after the race time, and the race times are random, as you know, enough as it is. Okay, so we're nearly at the 2:25. Good luck, whatever you're on out there. We know that Barry's gone for Davydenko. Bruce backing that up as well. I'm against them. With good birthday, I'm due a little bit of luck as well. Let's have a social comment. Here in my ear, we've got one coming up on the screen as we speak. And here we are. Cy Tyson, good birthday. I feel Oshin will win a couple today. He seems to be on fire.
He's already won one.
Is. Yes, and I'm hoping that it's time for the double. Of course, Dashing Willoughby, of course, took out...
well, he could easily do the Guineas double, couldn't he?
Yes, of course. He's on Milal, who's got you can't knock her out, can you?
She's got a great chance. She's got a fantastic chance. I mean, we'll come to the Guineas in a bit, but I was delving into the form book last night, trying to find a rag or trying to find a way to oppose the front few, and unfortunately I can't.
I think the market's got it right.
Usually does these days, doesn't it? And I don't know whether 72-hour decks as well has helped with that. That they did say, didn't they, that people will be studying form much, much earlier, and that by the time the day of the race, the market will have properly taken shape now. You know?
This is like what they do in Australia, of course. We were talking about the pace times. It's always 72-hour decks in Australia. So, and the punters absolutely demand that. But we're expecting to revert back to 48 hours sooner or later, Bruce, aren't we? I think
I'm quite happy to revert back to 48 hours for the flat, but I'm also quite happy to increase to 48 hours for the jumps. Meanwhile, this gamble on Sky Defender continues. He's into 14 on Betfair, which is a big slump, and they are off and running, and taking up the running at the front is West End Charmer. West End Charmer goes on from Sky Defender in third. We've got the Cheveley Park colours of Davydenko. Looks like there's a bit of rain falling. The Grey Master, the world is being restrained in fifth. In between him and Davydenko is Good Birthday, and they're followed through by Desert Icon and then Protected Guest, and bringing up the rear at this stage is Dalgarno. Any early market moves, Barry?
Yeah, West End Charmer went favourite as soon as they jumped off, and continues to do so, Bruce. He's a 9-4 favourite at the moment in running. Good Birthday out to 5-1 on the Betfair Exchange. Davydenko a 5-2 chance.
What do you make of it so far, David?
Yes, he's got an easy time up front on West End Charmer, isn't he? And these Johnson horses, he will be filling his lungs now, William Buick, on that. And as we've seen, the tailwind favouring the front runners. Davydenko's got a lovely slot. I think the Good Birthday's still going to be a big player, but Oshin's just caught in a little bit.
Okay, so as we head down the Rowley Mile, we have got still West End Charmer, who's the new favourite. He's a length and a half up on Sky Defender. Tucked inside on the rails is Davydenko. Still in fourth is Master of the World. Good Birthday in fifth, and then they're followed by Desert Icon. Still support for West End Charmer.
They're ramping it up now.
He's still favoured. West End Charmer at 6-4, 4-1. Davydenko. Good Birthday out to 7-1 now.
He's
coming through in
He's
third
striding
place.
on. He's striding on now. So it's West End Charmer by 2 from Sky Defender, by 3 from Davydenko. Good Birthday is trying to make a move and trying to land a blow, but he's going to have to go some to catch these front two.
Davydenko's gone.
Yeah, Davydenko's absolutely blown, and as they enter the closing stages, it's all over. West End Charmer wins the races. He's going clear. It's a really good performance. Sky Defender is second. It's going to be a 1-2 for Bravey because Good Birthday's trying to get third, but that's as best he's going to get. He's absolutely waltzed to victory, West End Charmer, by 4 lengths from Sky Defender. Good Birthday's third, and it is Good Night Davydenko. That was easy, wasn't it?
Yes, that was. 7 starts, 4 victories now for this West End Charmer. A 1-2 for Mark Johnson, as you said. And again, 2 races that we've shown here on Racing Post Live for the Betfair Exchange, and 2 front-running winners at Newmarket. That tailwind obviously still in play. There wasn't much change in the order really throughout, was there?
No, there wasn't. No, not really. I mean, Davydenko was trying to cling on to the Braveheart duo, and in the end he couldn't. It's not been a weekend to remember for Ryan Moore, this, has it? Just trying to think of anything notable one way or the other. But I mean, he was obviously well beaten on Arizona in the 2000 Guineas, wasn't he? So that's another unfortunate outcome for him. But a really good ride by William Buick on West End Charmer. He made his intentions clear from the word go. And funny enough, although I've been prattling on about the fact that the market doesn't seem to like front runners, Barry, as soon as he hit the front of the market as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, very much so, Bruce. As soon as they broke from the gates and he took it up, he went into favouritism in running on the Betfair exchange. He looks a really game performer. He's obviously one of those typical Mark Johnson horses, isn't he? I'm sick of saying it about them, but they get out in front there. They're very, very hard to pass. Davydenko, very disappointing. Not a bad run from Good Birthday, all things told. He'll be definitely winning again this season. And the runner-ups ran well too, but it's a pillar-to-post victory for the winner. And he's one that could go on to bigger and better things as well. He seems to have a workable mark.
From a form perspective, from a handicapping point of view, Sky Defender, we know all about him, don't we? He's been running on the all-weather earlier in the year. But Good Birthday has basically repeated his Beverley win over Desert Icon, who ran on into fourth there. Again, Desert Icon travelled really well, probably wasn't well positioned. William Aggis will find a nice prize for him, I'd imagine. So from a handicapping point of view, you've got some pretty good yardsticks there. I think that Barry's right. Good Birthday, probably a little bit rusty. The way he came off the bridle 3 out, he's going to improve for that. Wasn't that well positioned. But are we looking at a horse here that probably is going to step into Patton Company now?
Yeah. I definitely think that. I mean, that, the more I look at that, and as you say, you've got great yardsticks here, like Good Birthday and West End and Sky Defender. So you know what they've done,
and kind of makes him Lord North, doesn't it?
And that tells you what he's done, which is absolutely put them to sleep.
You probably get £5 for that, will you? It would still keep him in the bracket of for those kind of 85s to 105 handicaps, something like what this was. Davydenko top weight off 105 in this, but he's don't forget he's a son of Nathaniel, who seemed to appreciate, all those Nathaniels appreciate a bit of giving the ground. So I'm wondering, is that rain just getting into the ground in Newmarket as well? And it's difficult for horses, it looks like, to come from behind on what the evidence we've seen from the first 2 races that we've shown on Racing Post Live.
Yeah, well, the times early on, Barry, didn't suggest that the rain's getting in, but obviously it is still raining, so there's still time for it to happen. And sometimes what happens with rain on turf is it hammers away and doesn't have much effect, particularly on turf that's been so dry for so long. And then all of a sudden, it starts getting into the ground, doesn't it?
We talk about sloppy ground over the jumps all the time when it's drying on rain. And Bruce is absolutely right. So, yeah, they are kicking up the turf, just looking at the replays we can see here in the studio as well. So that slippery surface is definitely playing. And front runners at the moment. So, again, the pace map's a little bit helping us there. But I didn't expect him to get such an easy lead with Davydenko in the race, I must say. Mark Johnson, not so good with communique in the first. Bounces back, typical Braveheart style, and we have a horse going forward.
And a quick shout out to Tom Siegel, prize-wise, who tipped the winner. And Tom's got 2 more tips at Haydock.
Remind us what he's gone for in the Guineas.
Because I'm feeling generous, I'll tell you who they are. They're King Autocar in the 240 at Haydock and Happy Power in the 315. And who is his Guineas selection?
Was it Millar? I can't remember. Anyway,
no, he did anti-post at the start of the week, didn't he? Tipped Raffle Prize and Under the Stars, so he's basically just stuck with them because he only did them a few days ago. Top
2-year-olds from last year. We're building up 335, the crescendo, another classic. Can we get the dramatics of Kamiko? Pinatubo. Let us know what you think about Pinatubo, of course. Let's have some more social comments. Do they go sprinting with him? Will he bounce back in the St James's Palace Stakes? Looks like that's the way they're going with him, doesn't it? Give him another go over the mile. Flat track, someone said to me that I respect. He doesn't like Newmarket at all. Much better on flat tracks. We're going to see that maybe at Ascot.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I just feel like, we discussed it yesterday, with his 2-year-old profile going into 3, do you see those kind of really busy, spectacular 2-year-olds disappoint early on at 3 and then regain the thread? I'm struggling to think of it.
Wichita would back that up, wouldn't it? Finished 7 lengths off him last year, albeit he had his ground, but Wichita's improved past him. You could quite easily say that would be the case for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you can't believe that he was anything other than fully
right
at concert pitch for that. So just how much scope he's got, I would be slightly dubious about. And I'm if Gosden runs Palace Pier in the St James's Palace, I'd be absolutely all over him. I know that there are question marks about the quality of the rest of the runners in that race, but you know, if you look at the 2 Sandown wins over 7 furlongs last
He's
year,
the
and
one,
then
isn't he?
that, I just think that was. You know, there's sometimes you see something, you think, hang on a sec, I'm watching greatness.
And you said around about 11-2 on a book that you saw.
I saw 11-2 yesterday, and you know, I think the only negative for me at that price is that they don't go for it because perhaps they think he's so good he's going to run in the Derby on.
We need to get St James's Palace Market on Betfair, Barry. That's something that you can make happen. We need to be getting stuck into that. Shall we move on to Haydock? More class action coming our way. We've got a Group 3. It's not as you know it, but it's the Brigadier Gerard Stakes, as Bruce alluded to earlier in the show. Usually run on one of the best evening card, I think we can say, in
no
Britain.
question.
At Sandown in balmy May night. Here we are, the Brigadier Gerard Stakes, and we've got a really interesting market because Mark Johnson will be hoping for a quick-fire double here with LR Cam, who's the figures horse in the race. A son of Frankel, and he's a bit of a Marmite horse, I think, Barry, isn't he? But the punters have latched onto him, of course.
Yeah, they really have. Obviously, this race has cut up quite significantly with 4 non-runners in it. And Sigarius, who missed an appointment in Newmarket earlier on in the Paradise Stakes just the other day, over a mile to come here and race over a mile too. Has been relatively weak in the market. Was 11-4 this morning, 3.75. Is out to 130 now. So a bit of a negative for that. Means as well adds to that El Quam support, and he's your favourite now at around the 6-4 mark. I was going to lay both Cigaris and El Quam in the market, but with Cigaris out to the 7-2 mark now and going north to that, I'm not so sure. But I think I'm going to stick with my original thought, though, Bruce. I'm going to lay both of them. Okay. So it's a form of Dutching. I'm going to take 50 quid out of El Quam, and I'm going to take 50 quid out of Sigarius. So we lay both of them. Obviously. So
again, Barry, we're not risking 50. Our stake is 50. So if I type 50 into Alacam, you can see that our risk there is £71. And you're happy with that, are you? Okay.
Yeah, we do that, and again. And we'll do the same with Sigarius.
Sangarius is 5.4, Barry. Come on, my man. That's too big. We can't lay at that, can we?
Yeah. Take 50 quid out of it at that as well. I know this. Yeah, this morning when it was around the 11-4 mark. But to show I just want to show the functionality as well of the exchange and just explain to punters. So if you just
could be in a very expensive way to show the functionality, but yeah, okay. So they've both been matched now, Barry. And if you look on the screen there, that gives us a red figure, so a potential loss figure on Elacam of £21, a potential loss figure on Sangarius of £165. And if any of the other 3 win, we win the charity wins £100. Are you happy with that balance, or do you want to take a little more out of Elacam?
Yeah, potentially we could take a little more out of Elacam, take another 40 quid maybe out of that, and it's still not going to be as big a liability, obviously, as we have on Sigarius, but we have a bigger liability on Sigarius for a good reason, really. So if you just consolidate all them, if you down in the box on your bet slip, there's consolidate. Bruce, if you just go down to that and click consolidate,
Oh, blimey, hang on, I've already done it.
Yeah, you click that.
What, do that now?
Yeah, and it consolidates all those bets together. So you're not looking at all the individual bets that were matched. And you could click average odds as well if you want to on that.
Blimey, okay.
Yeah.
All this time on Betfair.
All this time I've been doing it. I know. And this is like my car. I've got this car, okay, and it's got, but I mean, you could basically cook your Christmas dinner on it. It is the most overspec, pointless thing in the world. And every time something happens or a warning light goes on, I learn about a function I didn't realise it had. And that's what's happening here. Consolidate and average odds. Okay. Marvellous.
So, Barry, just remind us, your approach with this race is to basically take on what you thought would be the head of the market and hope that one of the others would do you a favour.
Yeah, when I was doing the card this morning and I was submitting to the Racing Post what my various bets were across the 7 races that we're doing live on Racing Post Live, Sigarius was around the 11-4 mark, like I said. So by laying both Sigarius and Alquam, I was getting them at about 6-4 on. They were taking about 60% of the book, 66% of the book. And for me, that represented the right thing to do. Now, obviously, Sigarius has drifted out significantly, has almost doubled in odds. But I just want to show the functionality and explain to viewers that by Dutching these two, I'm holding... We're holding what now? 140 quid is what we have of, and what our liability now, Bruce, and Sigarius is somewhere around
125.
125 and 70 quid or something for El Quam. And I like the 3 horses running against us. Don't forget Lord North. He's a bookie's horse. He did them a massive favourite in Ascot. Remember when Frankie had all the running up money and he was going to put the firms out of business?
Yeah.
He traded at 6-4 on that day at Royal Ascot before finishing second. So maybe he could do us a favour here today.
Now, behind the stalls, Bruce, let's talk about our picks. So we know I put Ella Cam up as a lay. I'll just get it in there quickly. I'm not totally sure he's a 120 horse. And I like Lord North, so that was my play.
Okay, I put up Ella Cam as a tip, but he's too short for me now, unfortunately. So although the boys have done the caption, it says Ella Cam. If I was opening a new position, when Sangarius got over 5.4, I was all over that. But I mean, and it's interesting, isn't it, that Tom Siegel has tipped King Ottokar, the rag, who's 26 on Betfair.
Yeah.
That's a bold old shout. That
Charlie Fellowes Derby horse is supposed to be. He has been beaten at Royal Ascot by Sangarius on soft ground, but has beaten Dashing Willoughby in his career. There's another fascinating horse in there, isn't there? Tilly Morrison's a Telecaster.
Well, do you remember him? I mean, he went off very short for the Derby, didn't he?
After that front-running Dante. What was the bubble that he burst in that? Let me remind myself. It was a Frankie horse, wasn't it? Too darn hot.
Yeah, of course it was, yeah.
Yeah, so listen, he's got to bounce back, but he could have more to offer at 4. Telecaster could be the hare here in the race, I think, potentially.
Yeah, okay, well, you and your pace angle, yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's fine.
The pace
that's
cap is on.
That's absolutely fine. We'll see. They're about to get off and running for the 240. It's the Betway Brigadier Gerard Stakes over 1 mile and 2 furlongs. And it looks fairly leisurely early on, but it looks like it is Elakam who's actually been sent on to cut out the early running. King Ottokar is sent off in pursuit in second. Being restrained in third is Lord North. And then it's Telecaster and Sangarius. Danny Tudhope sitting out the back and watching the action unfold up front. So, Barry, what's that done with Elakam deciding to be pushed on by Dane O'Neill? What price is he now?
Yeah, even money at the moment on the exchange, Bruce, was hovering around the 5-4 mark. So no massive difference there, and no massive difference in the market. And just like the second race, they seem to be the race we've just seen there, the Pinnacle. They seem to be racing an Indian file again.
Yeah, Dave, anything to note?
I think if you're on the fab we saw in the previous race, the front runner got it just right. And you're on the best horse, aren't you, according to the handicap of the 120 horse. He's having a pretty easy time. If I was against him, which I am, I want King Ottokar to put a little bit more pressure on him. Lord North settled beautifully. Telecaster, they've clearly said to David Probert riding him, we blew the brains in the Derby. He's out the back. Sangarius settled quite nicely as well.
I want to see what happens when they come into the straight and see whether anyone follows the Rob Hornby path to glory up the centre of the track. They're in the straight now, and Elakam is the one to catch. King Ottokar in second. In third is Lord North. Sangarius is nice and close in fourth, and so's Telecaster in fifth. Elakam by a length.
And they are up the middle, Bruce.
Yeah, they've all come up the middle. They've all watched that race. King Ottokar going well in second for Tom Siegel at a huge price. Sangarius is just beginning to be played. Yeah. Lord North's going really, really nicely. And Telecaster is coming there as well. They can, or any one of these 5 can win this, but it's still Elakam as they come down with 2 furlongs to run. Elakam looks like he's on the path now. Coming up on the inside is Lord North, and Telecaster's running a blinder. King Ottokar's not completely done with. Sangarius has got it all to do. It looks like Lord North's to lose, so he kicks on. Sangarius is making a move on the outside, but it could be too late. Telecaster's plugging on. It looks like it's going to be Lord North. Lord North, but I tell you what, Elakam's coming back at him. Half a furlong to run. Lord North with Elakam renewing his challenge. He's got legs to find. He's not going to get there. That's why I'll never be a commentator. Lord North just wins it from Elakam. Telecaster is third. That was exciting.
Wow, that was our first Cheltenham moment, boys, wasn't it? Bruce, you did a great job there because I couldn't contain myself. I could hear Barry in my earpiece as well. What a finish that was.
Yeah.
Has he idled slightly, or has Elakam just come back for more? I mean, it looks that's the case. Telecaster, every chance. Sangarius, the drift on him was borne out.
Barry, there must have been someone laid Elakam when it looked like he was done for, who was absolutely cacking himself late on in that. Because
going at all sorts of prices, Bruce. Just a couple of quid matched at 300, a couple of quid matched at 230, 20, just nearly 20 quid at 200, 50 quid at 160, all the way down, and he got matched at 1.84 as well. So, yeah, you've got your fingers burnt in running on Elquam. I mean, you can see why. He's unfortunately, he's just touched off, isn't he? But great ride again from on Lord North from Robert Haven.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're talking about this as a spectacle going forward, you'd be would they now, is it something like a Princess Wales Stakes? It's usually where the winners of this go, isn't it? Or, Hardwick or...
20. And from 20 for the Prince of Wales.
Okay, so an Elecam, what do we really make of it? Let's dissect these now.
Very
Lord
peculiar,
North,
wasn't it? I mean, you don't normally do that in terms of leading into the straight, lead with 2 to go, suddenly look like you're getting swamped and then come back at them.
Yeah.
And I just wonder again whether because he's further over towards the stand side, whether he's not probably racing wide enough of the winner to have a significant advantage. But did Telecaster get short there? Because he's plugged on without ever really getting there. But it's a really heartening run from him. I'm sure Hughie Morrison will be delighted with that performance.
Yeah, no, he didn't really at all, Bruce. His low, no, he didn't. He was low as 6.2 or something is all he traded at in running.
Okay. Well, hats off to Rab Havlin and John Gosden. Disappointed with Fanny Logan. I've got a winner. I think that was my first of the weekend that I've put up. Barry.
We won 140 quid at Bruce.
We have indeed. Yeah, you have. Never mind me. You have.
Well, the charity Racing Welfare won 140 quid, so that's not a bad day.
We're flying along. I tell you what. When they settle it, I'll go on and we'll get the screen up and we'll do a big reveal. We'll go onto my account and see what the balance is. But yeah, well played, Barry. Absolutely flying again, my friends. Yeah,
we're just watching the replay here. It's just coming down the home straight. And I thought 2 furlongs up, this is the Elecam. I know. Juicy, happy goes. Here we go if you're on the lay. And in fairness, Lord North was probably the last off the bridle. But Sangarius came there with his chance. Telecaster on the inside. They will be happy with that run. Sangarius, it was a bit of an afterthought. He was supposed to run at Newmarket on Friday. The ground was too fast.
It wasn't great, was it?
He's fallen in a hole, isn't he?
No, that was the one, I mean, again, 2 out, that anything can win it, but very quickly it becomes apparent Sangarius isn't quite going to get there. It's a good ride by Rab Havlin. Lord North's been kicked on sensibly, but I mean, it was just peculiar the way Elecam's come back at him.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't an orthodox victory in that sense, was it? Because once you've taken it up like that, the horse you've taken it up from isn't really meant to come back at you.
I think Lord North was just idling a bit when he hit the front.
I'd be tempted to say he was idling. I remember we did a show in the studio with Paul Keeley just before Cheltenham. And I can't remember who the jockey we had in. It might have been Wayne Hutchinson on the jumps. And Keeley said, "There's no such thing as idling."
He did, I know.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do. I remember.
I think it was Hutch that went for him and said, "Oh, you're talking absolute rubbish." I'd be tempted if I was analysing that to say he has idled because Telecaster is also closing.
He probably did the same in Ascot. Like I said, remember he shot clear that day in Ascot during the Royal meeting with the Frankie. He had all the running up money going onto it, and he probably just idled a little bit in front that day. He was in front plenty long enough now for him. That's why Alcam and the third horse Telecaster were just staying on one pace, weren't they?
Yeah. I do also remember, by the way, and I've worked with Keels for ages, he used to say that hay fever didn't exist. But the other day I played golf with him and he was sneezing away like a lunatic. I said, "What's up with you guys?" I got a bit of hay fever. I said, "You said that didn't exist."
That's him, absolutely. Keels, so yes, quite right. So listen, Lord North, a really good winner there, I think, the Brigadier Gerard. It's really exciting race. Let us know, were you the guy that had Lord North for all that money when Elecam was coming? Let us know what you're thinking. #RP Live is the way forward. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, we'd love to have you here because some great numbers yesterday, some great feedback. And one of the feedbacks I got, Bruce, was that we want to get Barry in early because they want to, sort of replicate what he's doing. What a day people must be having.
Well, let's go onto the screen and we'll see how far ahead we are, shall we? Can we do that?
Can we go onto the screen, boys?
Let's get my screen up. So we click on my account. Is it betting history or betting profit and loss, Barry?
No, P&L, profit and loss.
Betting profit and loss, and we will click on this.
Just for today,
Slightly
Slightly
weeny this type. It could do with being enlarged when you'd next do an improvement. But that tells us that we are £273 up today. Look, fantastic.
Look at that. Aye.
It's all broken down. See, this is the great thing. If you want to analyse how you're doing on betting, Betfair gives you the opportunity to click on every single bet you've had. And, it's great. I think it's really important. Not just from a kind of strategic point of view, but from a responsible gambling point of view as well, to be able to see just how you're doing. And, I know other bookmakers are introducing similar tools, and it's very important because, if you are a punter, I know some punters, and I say, do you look at your profit-loss figure?
Yeah, of course.
And they go, "I don't want to look. I don't want to know." Well, you have to know, unfortunately, because if you don't know, you might have a bit of a problem.
You're just chasing, aren't you, a little bit?
We don't have a problem today. We're flying along, Barry. You are the man.
Happy days. Okay, all right. So let's concentrate, shall we, now on the 3 o'clock at Newmarket, and we go away from tried and tested form a little bit. We're back to the 3-year-olds. It is the Pretty Polly Stakes. Barry, give us a wide open market update.
Yeah, at the moment now we're looking at, just give us 1 second here. We are, just talk among yourselves there, lads. My laptop's just kind of crashed here for a second. Yeah, so we have the John Gosson filly, Tempo Viola, who's currently your favourite around 5 to 1's a wide, or 4 to 1's a wide open betting market, really. 6 to 1 Trefoil. That's the horse I fancy, or 5 to 1 Trefoil. 6 to 1 Wild. Snow Shower, not without a chance as well, is currently around the 13 to 2 mark. But Trefoil for Rafe Beckett.
Right, I mean, this is one of my favourite races of the well, it's usually the Derby meeting, isn't it? But of the Guineas weekend, I love this race. The market's just it's wide open, which I'm happy about because I'm on Snow Shower, Barry. I think this is well, Sangaris gave them a bit of a bloody nose, and Davydenko in our previous race. I think Stout might be on one here, but the real one for solidity in the money early on, as Bruce said earlier, is Trefoil. Rafe Beckett got a good record in this race as well. Let me just try and remind myself while I get onto I'm using Raceform Interactive today, guys, by the way, which I think is absolutely imperative. And it gives me all the historical winners of the race. It's just opening up. And of course, Rafe Beckett's had 5 runners in the race. His winner was Talent.
Talent, who went on and won the Oaks 7 years ago, yeah. So it's possibly very telling, this. And I think, you know, the fact that we've got this Rafe Beckett resurgence today, even before he banged in the winners, this horse was quite short, wasn't he, Barry?
Yeah.
She's been solid all morning, Trefoil.
Yeah, she really has been. I think she was 5 to 1, or she was 7 to 1 on the sportsbook at one stage this morning. Yeah, she's very short now. She's into just under 5 to 1, and she's challenging the Frankie Dettori horse for favouritism at the head of the market. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was to go off favoured as well.
That form at Newmarket when she won at the back end last October, back end is a saying, isn't it? I always go to that. I never know whether to spell it one word or two. But the final stages of the season she did look very good. She had English King back in 7th that day. And we all know what he's come out and done. One of the favourites for the Derby now. He probably needed that day, but it was a solid maiden, I think. And it's from that tried and tested family, the right colours, isn't it, for Beckett as well? They'll be very excited about this, I would imagine.
They certainly will, yeah. They really, really will. And I'm sure, you know, Beckett, after a difficult first week, will be absolutely delighted what's happened here. He'll be glad racing's finally resumed, won't he? Hopefully.
As we all, happy days. I mean,
don't mention the war.
We touched on that a little bit, though, didn't we, yesterday? Let's remind everyone. I mean, you'd have taken June, wouldn't you? Come on with what's going on. It's almost like we've forgotten about. We are back now, aren't we? This has been a great weekend, and we can easily say it for the cameras and things like that, but it genuinely has been a real success.
It's been a fantastic success, and it just shows that, you know, racing people don't need to start throwing the toys out the pram when they feel like it's not going their way. Racing has got the jump on every other sport.
Yeah.
It was ready. It had a resumption committee, which Ray Beckett himself was even on. Everything was done perfectly well. We've got great racing. The resumption of the calendar, people like Richard Wayman at the BHA have done a fantastic job in making sure that the new look calendar is A, right at the top end, because we need a healthy pattern.
Yeah.
B, gives a lot of opportunities for the lower grade horses. And C, is able to deal somehow with such hideously reduced prize money. So the challenge has been really daunting. And I think the response both from the BHA and the regulator and all the racing professionals has been fantastic. And yes, obviously, Mark Johnson and Rafe Beckett didn't cover themselves in glory by, you know, getting a little bit antsy and calling for Nick Russ to go.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, racing itself can be proud of what it's done. And if you hadn't had that stupid noise caused by Johnson and Beckett, you'd have said it was all absolutely perfect. So in future, perhaps people just do need to just think before they speak, and then we can all provide a united front. So there's a little bit of a political broadcast there, but let's get back to what is a fantastically interesting race. And Barry, do I need to play some bets for you?
Yeah, I'm going to back Trefoil in the place market here. Bruce, I thought around 11 to 10 that represented a bit of value. Like Dave said, that was good first time up effort by the daughter of Teofilio in Newmarket last year towards the end of the season. And I thought I thought she wouldn't be very far away. 9 runners. It's close to the dead 8, just 1 away.
No, we've got 8 now, haven't we? We've got a defector.
We do.
Yes, there is a Barani Star.
Barani Star,
yeah.
Yes. So sorry, it's the dead 8. So dead 8, 3 places on Betfair. And I think around the 11 to 10 mark, 2.10 would represent a bit of value. I think we'll have £100 on at that.
Okay. Do you ever worry, Barry, when you do a place-only bet, that if they win, are you gutted that you didn't have a little bit on the win as well?
No, never.
Really?
Never. You've just got to be realistic. If I wanted to back it, I could split my stake and have 50 quid in the win and 50 quid in the place.
That is a cold punting mind, isn't it?
But you don't have to have 50 and 50. You could have 80 place and just 20 win, just so that you've got a little bit more skin in the game, just to avoid that stinging feeling.
Listen, the skin in the game is all right in the place market for me in a race like this. A lot of unexposed fillies in it. Anything can happen in this. I prefer to take my 3 places, and around the 11 to 10 mark for me, that looks a bet that will reward me enough for the stake that I'm.
We've had some of it done, but we're still waiting for the last 20 quid to be done. So should we just sit tight? Oh no, we're all done now. We're all in.
Yeah.
All in.
While we wait, remind us of your selection earlier on for this.
I went with Snow Shower because again, she just looks like a really interesting stout kind of special, but we've had loads of these this weekend. Thought, this looks like a stout one. This looks like a stout one, and they're not doing it. So if I was having a fresh position, I'd be all over Trefoil. But I'm going to stick with Snow Shower. I think this is a really interesting race, Dave, because I looked at the Oaks market, and all of these are kind of between 25 and 50 to 1 for the Oaks. So it's possible that this will, if this throws up a decent winner, there will be a big old shake-up in the Oaks.
Well, let's remember what's won it in the last couple of years. Maxad, do you remember her last year? She won it for William Haggis. Lati Dar, who won it in 2018. Jazzy Top in 2015. Tagruda and Talent were the ones that really gave it the boost, who went on to win at Epsom as well. Do you remember Talent was a 20 to 1 shot? Was Richard Hughes on it? Do you remember? So this is a leading Oaks trial, and they've got a nice month now in between the races. So whatever wins here, fingers on the buzzers for the Oaks.
We've also got an interesting situation where 5 of the 8 have only had 1 run and won it, and then the other 3 have all got a bit of, a bit more form. So will it be one of the unexposed types, or will it be one that's got form in the book? I mean, Tiempo Vuela, the favourite, Frankie, she's really solid here at 4.7. She's holding her position well. I mean, were you that impressed with the run, Dave, that you'd have a significantly clear here?
She beat an 81 rated horse by 3 lengths, Bruce. So to answer your question, who has come out and finished 3rd again since. The form is okay. Quite a few have been beaten. I think if she was really strongly fancied, there might be a bit of more love for her.
You know what just put her off me, lads? Or me off her, sorry, was the fact that yesterday when Valkonig got beaten, John Gosling was quoted in the Racing Post this morning as saying, he hadn't been on the grass. He won in Wolverhampton and they hadn't been on the grass. This filly won in Newcastle, and maybe it could be a case she hasn't been on the grass either. I don't know whether it's something in their training routine that when they win all redder races, or is it just a case where they haven't been able to get on the grass gallops in Newmarket for whatever reason. I don't know that would be, because there seems to be thousands of grass gallops in Newmarket. So interesting that he gave that, not an excuse, but he highlighted that yesterday. He chose to highlight that in today's post about Volcanic, that, maybe just encountering grass for the first time in his career meant he was a bit all at sea.
Lack of options, John cited with his fillies in this as well. This wouldn't have been the first port of call, I think. It's either run in a race in a novice where you've got 80, 90 entered, you might not get in, or we know we'll get in here. If we're going to go to the Oaks, let's find out. They work on the Alba Hathry at Newmarket, a lot of Gosden string. That is, of course, Polytrack, so Barry, absolutely right. To answer your question about the once raced maiden winners, or novice winners, as we know now, 3 out of the last 7 only. So it does tend to go to something with a little bit more experience. I suppose that might bring in a Queen Daenerys, had a first-time wind-up for Roger Varian. The best form in the race, I suppose, is Alpen Rose, who's had the 4 runs. A little bit disappointing last time, but it's Appleby, could bounce back.
You couldn't describe her as a serial winner, could you?
No.
Alpen Rose.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Pour it on, Bruce. The rustiness is not there anymore, boys. Happy days. There we go. So listen, let's have a market update. They're right behind the stalls at the moment, ambling around. They look quite well, the ones that we can see down at the moment. Barry, anything really steaming in, or is it quite stagnated?
Yeah, it's quite stable, the market now. 4-1 Tiempo Voila. Trefoil currently 11-2, 6-1 Run Wild. Interestingly enough, earlier on, just a couple of seconds ago, I just checked the place market again. But yeah, they're joint favs in the place market, Viola and Trefoil.
Okay.
It's a really fascinating race, this, isn't it? Not least because of the makeup, as we say, with the 5 once raced winners and then the 3 more experienced fillies. But also, in terms of the market, to have a 8-runner race like this of high quality, full of really promising types, and it's 5.2 the field, and the 7th favourite is only 8.8. It really does show what a hard contest it is, and I would imagine that fixed odds-wise, there'll be a lot of people betting each way, won't they?
Yeah, there's only one horse in double figures on the exchange. It's not often you can say that in any race in the exchange, but Endless Echoes is the only horse trading in double figures in this race.
Which is somewhat surprising considering it's Michael Barcelona, Charlie Appleby and the boys in blue. Moonlight in Paris is Gosden's other runner. Ryan Moore, he could do with a bit of a fillip, couldn't he? Little bit of nibbles for this. The horse it beat on its debut at Nottingham, I remember covering that race, ran in the week. It was called Sunbear. Do you remember that, Barry? We were doing our rehearsal, weren't we? And we covered that race. It ran absolute shocker. So form's been let down there. I'm hoping that Snow Shower can defy this sort of weakness in the market. I think it's bred to be an Oaks type. Maybe it might be more of a Ribblesdale type. The Ribblesdale could be a really hot race, couldn't it? You know, coming before. How weird a world are we living in that the Ribblesdale could be an Oaks trial?
That's the Oaks trial this year. Yeah, that's the main Oaks trial, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember hearing from Gosden earlier in May, I think it was, he said the Ribblesdale is going to be a really, really hot race, and Miss Yoda looks like it will be going there, I think. So, the Lingfield Oaks Trial winner. Okay, so where are we, Bruce? We're going in.
Yeah, we're going in, and it's 5 points. Yeah, there's not really a great deal happening. Snow Shower's quite uneasy. Moonlight in Paris has just ticked out a bit and is threatening to join Endless Echoes as the only other one in double figures. Run Wild, another Gosden, is pretty solid, 7.6. Alpen Rose is solid at the top as well in the first Godolphin colours, but they're nearly all in. It's 1 mile and 2 furlongs. Just out the back is Alpen Rose. We've also got to wait for Moonlight in Paris to go in. There's a colour change. That's no good. What's happened here? There's a colour change, Dave. I'm not a proper commentator. You can't start throwing colour changes in.
Get those glasses on, Bruce.
Who's that out the back with the blue with the yellow horizontal stripe?
That does look like it's Moonlight in Paris.
Moonlight in Paris.
I've got a feeling. Is this Sean Mulrine?
Okay.
It is Sean Mulrine in partnership with the Magnia and Shanahan's. Sean Mulrine, we will know for City Island, of course, the Ballymore winner 2 years ago. The property
If I get my blue biro and just cut out a couple of those stripes on the silks, it actually looks like he's wearing now. I'm getting the hang of this. Richard Hoyles, watch out.
I think this was the case on debut as well. They got the silks wrong in the post, but it's obviously a partnership, so it's a bit tricky there. Okay, two more to go, and as Bruce says, it's nearly time for the Pretty Potty. Don't forget, we've got one more race from Haydock. That's a belter coming up at 3:15, and then the crescendo for the 1,000 guineas at 3:35.
So we've got 2 votes. Me and Dave are going with Snow Shower, and Barry is going with Trefoil. Tiempo Vuela, which means time is short, is still favourite. They are about to jump in the Pretty Polly. It's a pretty level break. First to show is the outsider, Endless Echo from Queen Daenerys, and then the Khaled Abdullah colours on the inside on Snow Shower. Being chased up early on now is Trefoil. But Endless Echoes goes on. Any market moves, Barry?
No, not at all, Bruce. Trefoil just gone into clear favouritism, though, at around the 7-2 mark, 9-2 Run Wild. Interestingly, Frankie's horse, Tampea Voila, is out to 8-1 already.
That's running extremely green. 2 gone down the centre, both the Gosdens, interestingly. Run Wild making it out now, Bruce. This Tempo Vieira has been really, really green. Frankie's going to have to be a magician, as we know he is, to get it up. Trefoil would be the one for me if I was having a bet now in running. OK,
so Run Wild, Oisin Murphy made all to win our first race. And he's attempting to do the same here. In second on the inside, hugging the rail, is Endless Echo. Trefoil is in third. On the outside is Tiempo Vuela, who's now taken a big walk in the market because been running a bit too freely. In behind them, Queen Daenerys. On the inside, Snow Shower. And then you've got Moonlight in Paris. And finally, Alpen Rose. And going nicely is Run Wild. Probably opened up a 3-length lead
it's
now.
It's not an easy one, isn't it?
4 furlongs
on the
to
exchange, 6-4 on the exchange. Run Wild.
Odds on Run Wild. Trefoil is being pushed out to try and close the gap, but it's really busy. And Oisin Murphy hasn't moved a muscle on this thing.
Wow.
This is going to take some beating. It's 1.24. It's put the race to bed.
Wow.
Run Wild, who's had a million different runs in his career, is absolutely caning this lot. I mean, we're into the final 2 furlongs now, and she's gone clear. And
Game
Sheen
over.
Murphy still hasn't moved. If you're interested in the place of money, it looks like it's going to be Trefoil and Queen Daenerys, but this is an absolute procession. They passed the furlong pole, Run Wild, 5 lengths clear. Queen Daenerys is grabbing second from Trefoil. We're going to get our place money, but the only horse that counts in this race is Run Wild. Holds on, eased down a little to win by 4 lengths. Queen Daenerys is second, just beats Trefoil, and they're well clear of the rest. Wow, that was almost an action replay of the first, wasn't it? Run Wild and John Gosden and Sheen Murphy once again masterful from the front.
Wow. So remind me, 3 races so far from Newmarket, all from the front?
All from the front.
Yeah,
All from the front.
Yeah, they have.
Dashing Willoughby,
Yeah.
the one in
West
End Charmer, and now Run Wild. Run Wild reminds you, chaps, a little bit of Mishriff yesterday for Gosden. Had the official rating in the race, kept it simple. That was in the Val Koenig race and just out there on front. So it goes back to what you were saying, Bruce, about these once race, totally unexposed, sexier type runners, if you like. And here we go. If you keep it tried and tested, Oisin Murphy, best form in the race according to this. Keep it simple.
Well, they're exposed now and properly found out, I'm afraid. It's kind of disappointing because Run Wild only won 1 of 6 at 2. And so in a race where you think, well, hang on a sec, 2 or 3 of these could be really, really tasty, some of these novice winners, but I think they're just probably not. I mean, it's hard to think. Well, I suppose Run Wild might just have thrived fantastically, and as we said yesterday, I'm a hopeless judge of them physically, so she may now have turned into an absolute beast. But it's hard to think of anything other than that's slightly disappointing, because when you look at a race like the Pretty Polly, you want to see champions in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, if anything, you've got to be looking at the other Gosden fillies now. Remember what a year he had last year with his fillies. Frankly Darling, Miss Yoda, they're probably way ahead of this, I would imagine, at home. Gosden now thinking to himself, thank you very much, I know exactly where I'm going. She was a little bit keen last year, I seem to remember. She ran on heavy ground a couple of times, but she never went from the front. So that's a complete change of tactics. It almost looked, didn't it, in the first 2 furlongs that she was trying to give a lead to the seemingly better fancied Tempo Vuela with Frankie Dettori on. That fell in a hole because it was just too keen early. Snow Shower, really disappointing for Stout. Just looked very green, looked like it's a proper working project. If you had to take one of it, I suppose Trefoil might be the one.
Not really. Why?
Well, I just thought that she probably looked like she was going to be the one that might come out of it. She's closing a little bit on like...
To be fair, the second and third have finished well clear of the rest. How quickly, Barry, did it take the market to latch on to the fact that Run Wild was running wild and wasn't going to get caught?
Yeah, not very long at all. It didn't trade bigger in running at all, or didn't trade bigger than its actual... the biggest price it traded pre-race in running, Bruce. But I don't know. I think Trefoil and the runner-up Queen Darnay paid the price for chasing the winner, really, and they finished just as clear, like Bruce said, of the fourth horse. So it's not a bad performance. 8-1 from 33-1 on the Betfair Sportsbook for the Oaks. Quadrilateral favourite in that market at 6-1 at the moment. But Bruce, she didn't show a whole lot last year, like you say, this filly, and she had a couple of she had plenty of racing, but they can improve, and especially fillies when they start improving, who knows where that ends. But I think again the Guineas is going to be the main trial for the Oaks this year.
I thought the main trial for the Oaks was that fillies race that took place on the first day at Newcastle 6 days ago, that Frankly Darling won. I'm still more than happy with that. I mean, I think your mob was still going 20-1 after that, Barry, and I stepped in again. I'm more than happy with that. I think that's still the most impressive thing I've seen in what... I tell you what a first week of racing it's been, hasn't it? It's been just absolutely superb. They've put on such a brilliant show here.
Yeah, and I think that Barry's right. Now, with the Oaks in mind, if you're looking at that anti-post wise, and you're Frankly Darling, like Bruce is on, a lot of people have backed William Haggis's in the same colours. That's Domino Darling. That's what she's called. Trying to remember all the names. It's not very easy with just a week in, but she's still well fancied. She was supposed to turn up in this, actually. Williams elected to give her a bit more time. The Guineas is now looking like the one that might shake it up. Love, for example, she's bred to be mile 4. We could have a new favourite, couldn't we, for that we're expecting?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously, that traditionally is the key market disruptor for the Oaks. So, we'll find out in less than half an hour, won't we?
Absolutely fantastic stuff. So, Whew, one more to come from Newmarket. It is, as Bruce mentioned, the aforementioned 1,000 guineas. Classic time here on Fair Exchange. Racing Post Live, hashtag, let's hear from you. Social comments, how are you getting on today? You following Barry? Another Barry, beautiful little bit of place money there. So the charity's had an absolute belter today, isn't it?
Barry is doing, is it Racing Welfare, Barry?
Racing Welfare, Bruce, yeah.
You're doing them proud, my friend. It's a fantastic charity. Dawn Goodfellow, who runs Racing Welfare, does a sensational job. The sport is blessed with two great charities in Racing Welfare and the Injured Jockeys Fund. And Barry, they will be loving what you are doing in terms of boosting their coffers. So we'll see what you can do on the 3:15 at Haydock, which is our next race, and probably the most testing. Well, I mean, the 1,000 guineas is testing, but this is pretty tough as well, isn't it?
Did you find this one difficult when you were looking for a tip then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It is the Betway Spring Trophy listed stakes, 7 furlongs, and as Bruce alludes to, yeah, it looked like a wide open market. Perhaps we could get a market update. I think it looks like the Space Blues might just go off favourite. There's a lot of love for Happy Power, but the tipsters, I think Paul Keeley, again, very keen on this. I must admit, I went that way when he was around about 9-2. I certainly wasn't expecting Safe Voyage, Barry, to be all the way out to 3-1.
No, me neither. But the horse I like in it is a Godolphin horse, Charlie Appleby. Brett Doyle rides it, though. It's Dubai. Group 3 winner there a couple of years ago at the track. And he's a horse that he has a history of running very well fresh. I'm going to back him in the win market, Bruce, and I'm going to back him in the place market. This is a wide open race.
Okay.
You were obviously in the last race with Trefoil. I opted just to back it place only. Finishes third, so we got lucky there. But in this is one where I think the horse will place, but I think he could have a chance of winning it as well, with it being such a wide open contest. And I just keep going back to that 2018 race when he finished, when he won that Group 3 here. And I think the bit of giving the ground as well will suit him.
Okay, right. I'm all yours. I'm Anthea Redfern, your Bruce Forsyth. Take it away.
So if you go in the win market, the buy, he's around 16 on the exchange. If we have 25 quid on him in the win market,
okay,
we should get done at around the 16 mark.
I put up 16 and a half. Should I just quickly whiz down to 16 just to make sure we get it done?
I'd be happy. I think
people who are watching this live are going to start following you in, Barry. You're just too.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm a price taker at 16. I don't mind. I don't mind being a price taker at 16.
Okay, we've got half of it done, so we'll assume that'll
get matched. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. Now,
and what next?
If you go into the place market on Betfair, but go 4 places this time, Bruce. Now, obviously, the standard place terms here is 3, but there is an option on the Betfair exchange. We can go 4 places here as well. So in 4 places, it's around 15 to 8 chance, 280.
Yeah.
So if you have 25 quid on it, that's me done.
He's a shrewdy, isn't he? Because if you look at this horse, his fresh record, we saw him in Australia, didn't we? If you were watching that like I do, he took in some Group 1s down there, actually. He won in Maidan on his return, 2-2-1-1 fresh. The only reason why is this price. He's got an official rating of 111. That's, to put that into perspective, Kinran and Urban Icon don't have that, and they're actually on level weights or giving him weight. The only reason why he's this big, I think, is probably the Brett Doyle factor, but don't let that put you off at all.
Okay, we're all done there, Barry. That's good news. Who do you fancy, Dave?
I like Happy Power. I came round to it. He's not, again, he's like one of these horses, a bit like Manuela de Vega. He hasn't really got the win in him, but if you look at that run in the Sussex last year, it probably is just about the best one over. Kills put him up at around about 5-2 last night. I could totally see that. He's coming for a lot of money. He'll love the ground.
Yeah, Tom Siegel and Paul Keeley both have gone with Happy Power. And I know there's a lot of punters who, when the big two both agree on a horse, they tend to...
They can't stand it, though, can they, the two of them? You often... Paul always says to me, oh, no, whenever we tip together, it doesn't often come off, but...
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true. It's amazing. I mean, they're both just exceptional judges. And it's funny, actually, there was a spell... before racing obviously went into its coronavirus-inspired recess, where it was incredible how often they were tipping similar horses.
People think they sit next to each other on the desk.
No,
not the case.
They don't confer, but I think they're just both good judges, and they've both got similar kind of positive leads towards value bets, I think. And
this is Andrew Balding, an SDS. Instead of riding Good Birthday, he would have come up at Bangkok was a non-runner in our previous... Brigadier Gerard, but this I think is the horse that he's gone up there for, and I like his draw in 3. I think that he's going to tag on to the other horse that they've got in there, Happy Power. That's Fox Champion, who should should be the hare. I got that wrong with
The
telecasting
only thing
in
is,
the last race.
but, you know, they're all going to come up the middle of the track. So it's three.
Low's fine, I think, for that. So, So, Space Blues, the favourite, Barry, needs to bounce back from a pretty disappointing run in Maiden. In fact, it was a woeful run. But last year, he looked like he might be that sort of Marois horse, and maybe it was in the jersey, wasn't it, that he was well fancied. Still around about 5-2?
Yeah, he's 5-2 hard actually on the exchange, Dave, and definitely you could forgive him that run. I think he's a worthy favourite. It's a really competitive race, as they have been all day up in Haydock. Interestingly, like you guys say, I think they'll come up the stand side here, and the winner will definitely come up the stand side. I don't think you'll see them coming up the far side at all.
Don't forget they take a bend over the 7 furlongs at Haydock, so it's a real sharp bend at that. So yeah, we're expecting a slingshot like you sometimes see at Lingfield, but they have been coming down the middle today. We've had some fantastic racing. We are now around about 15-20 minutes away from the 1,000 guineas at Newmarket, our final race here on Racing Post Live. Keep the comments coming on, the feedback, we love to see it. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching, thank you for being with us. It's been good fun today, isn't it? I feel the rust has come off me a bit today. It has
so quickly.
Absolutely. So we'll be back, of course, for Royal Ascot. Don't forget that. Barry's going to be in the chair as well. We know you've been following him in. I've been having messages on my phone saying, aye, Barry, thank him for me. So not just the charities doing well, punters having a good day as well. And Dubai is an interesting runner. What's he sort of trading at the moment, Bruce?
He's 16.5. So
okay.
we haven't lost anything particularly in the value. I think Urban Icon is a horse we should probably discuss as well. Richard Hannon, the top horse, Sean Levy rides that. Drawn 8, that's not going to do him any harm, I don't suppose. Hannon's not really one of the trainers that you would say has had a fantastic start, but you know, as we saw with Rafe Beckett, he's gone from duck eggs and high numbers to suddenly ones.
Yeah, he's 2 from 3 in this race, actually, interestingly, Richard Hannon. He won it with Oh This Is Us in 2017, Tabarak in 2008. He's got 9-11, but it has been done a couple of times in the past as well. They are, Bruce, going in for your penultimate call of the day.
Phenomenal amount of blue colours here.
Have you got your... Oh, the caps is a nightmare, isn't it?
It's not, but it's not just the Godolphin.
The Kinram.
Yeah, we've got 2 King Powers. It's just
Snazzy Jazzy.
This is where it's all going to go wrong. I must admit, I mean, I'm not one for blowing my own trumpet, but I've been surprised at how, my lack of hopelessness.
Ian might be giving you a call. Ian Bartley might be giving you a call for the roster.
No, I don't think about that. But
you'd have to do a bit of mileage in that spaceship.
All I'm saying is that I am due an absolute shocker, and I think this is going to be
the Guineas.
So one of you two might have to jump in and bail me out. But
you're doing a great job,
hopefully the charity's been flying, and the one thing that hopefully will be loud and clear is that red cap of Godolphin carrying Dubai to victory. But they are off. It's 7 furlongs. Pace doesn't look particularly brutal. Card sharp from Mark Johnson has got out and has come across and nabbed the rail. Kinrin is actually disputing the lead. I mean, the jockey on Kinrin, Phil Dennis, was saying, I'm not having any of that. Pulling very hard is Happy Power, pulling like a real madman. Safe Voyage has gone up on the outside. That's in 3rd. We've got Fox Champion Line handy in 4th. Anything to talk about in the market, Barry?
Not really. It's quite a light market at the moment, Bruce. Your favourite still, Space Blues, in running.
Yeah, okay. And if Space Blues wants to come down that nice golden highway down the middle of the track, he's not really going to be able to, I don't think. So we're at halfway, and it's still the outsider, Card Sharp, heading them along. Safe Voyage is disputing second with Kinrin, and then we've got Happy Power beginning to get into the race. The favourite, Space Blues, is still 7th and has got a bit to do. Coming up on the inside, Urban Icon. If that near side is favoured, that's got a decent chance.
Here we go.
We've also got Snazzy Jazzy trying to get on the premises. Space Blues' chance just seems to have improved a little bit lately, but he's been asked for his effort. It is absolutely wide open. On the inside, we've got the grey horse, which is Yafta.
Come on, Happy.
Here comes Space Blues, but kicking first is Safe Voyage from Space Blues. Space Blues now is beginning to get on terms. Space Blues looks like he's going to take it up. Happy Power in 3rd. Space Blues is going to get there, just about win it by about a neck from Safe Voyage. Did Happy Power finish 3rd? The favourite wins it. James Doyle times it nicely. Charlie Appleby, Godolphin win with their first colours. Space Blues wins it at 5-2. Favourite second is Safe Voyage. David?
Probably the most open finish that we've seen so far, isn't it? We had the first handicap that was won by Dashing Willoughby, but that was horses in behind, really. Loads and loads of chances. And 2 furlongs out, Bruce, on this favourite Space Blues. It's a case of Doyle saying, where's my gap going to come? Safe Voyage, who won the race last year, he's now met his first defeat the first time, at the 5th time of asking. 4 from 4 he was. At Haydock, he's just got a little bit sweaty, hasn't he, the veteran? Whether that's cost him, I don't know. This Barry Orr pick at Dubai was steaming up the stands well, just a little bit too late.
Did we get fourth there, Barry?
No, I don't think so, Bruce. No, but he's won probably for the notebook. He will win again this season before the year's out for sure. He just had to pull his whip through a couple of times. The horse just rolled off the rail there. It's a bit of a bunch finish for third.
Happy Power's third. Snazzy Jazzy is fourth.
Jazzy is fourth. Yeah,
he's run well, Snazzy Jazzy, because he's a horse that really would have, I think, preferred the rein to have got in more. And he doesn't have a great first time out record. Maybe look for him in something at Royal Ascot potentially. Happy Power back up to a mile, I think. He looked like he was going to fall off the telly a little bit, and then he's coming back, and you can see why they ran him in the Sussex. I think it's just a difficult one to win with, probably.
What was the story in play with the winner, Barry?
He was always favourite, Bruce, on the exchange. It wasn't a very lively in-play market, it has to be said. Interesting, though, the winner, I think, is something like, I'll tell you now, for the Diamond Jubilee, he's 7-2 from 8-1, the winner for the Diamond Jubilee. So the bookmakers are suitably impressed.
Wow. I mean, that seems very short, doesn't it?
If I had a clothes peg, Barry, I would put it on my nose, my friend.
It stinks.
Look, I'm not. Having said that, if you say to me, well, go on then, who wins it? I'm not going to be able to come up with anything. But I don't know, it just didn't look like the performance of a horse that's suddenly going to be 7-2 for the Golden Jubilee.
Is this going to beat Hello Youmzain, for example, in a Sprint Cup winner from last year who beat Calix, of course? He's a proper sprinter. I'm not so sure. Safe Voyage is a really good yardstick. Third in the Champions Mile, of course, at Ascot and Loss. He loves Haydock, so you could argue that he's done really well. And he had to overcome that bit of trouble in running, but he's a very consistent horse. If you take out that Maidan run, he did one, like I say, he was beaten by Space Traveller. Do you remember Danny Tudhope? That was started his great spree at Royal Ascot last year. So he probably is a 120 horse in the making, but that does sound skinny. What
you would say, though, is in actual fact, if you watch it again, it's a really cosy win, isn't it, Barry?
Yeah, he's done it very, very well, Bruce. And it was never in doubt either. Like I said, and running the betting never swayed. You're 7-2 favourite ahead of Hello Youmzain. Kate Byron is a 12-1 chance, one master in there, 12-1 chance. Doesn't look like at the moment a vintage renewal of the Diamond Jubilee.
Yeah, that is true.
You get the foreign horses usually coming over, don't you?
You haven't got, there's no choice.
We're talking about a freaky year. So a horse dropping back from 7, stiff. He's got that Royal Ascot form, but 7-2, no, not for me.
But again, though, that does show, doesn't it, that, if you're reacting like we are, well, hang on a sec, it can't possibly be that short for the Diamond Jubilee. But these are unusual circumstances, aren't they? It's not going to be a Royal Ascot like any we've had before. The preparations, the campaigning,
Aussie horses,
and in a lot of senses, the quality. Yeah, as you say, we're not going to have these international superstars coming over.
And again, the form, it was just a bit of a blanket finish, wasn't it? There, I don't know. I'm not totally sure, but listen, maybe he's a big improver this year. He's certainly trained by the right man, and James Doyle. Check out your quotes later on, of course, your analysis. The boys are typing away like mad at the moment in your members club on the Racing Post. Never before have the replays been so important. That was the 3:15. So the last race at Haydock, boys. We now move on to the biggie, and we should give it the biggie.
Sorry, I've just very quickly, last word on that. I've just watched that again. I'm going to downgrade that from cosy to sort of...
Readily?
I'd say, it wasn't really cosy. He did have to get busy. And it was a good bit of riding by Doyle there because he saw a gap that was closing and he suddenly had to inject a bit of pace in there. But yes, the big race is coming up, Dave, and it is extremely exciting. And it's also fascinating, isn't it? Because sometimes you can go into a 1,000 guineas and you've got a red-hot favourite that just goes ahead and wins it. But, this is not... all the talk going into the 2,000 guineas was Pinatubo. This is far, far more open, isn't it?
Keith Melrose piece in the paper today says reputations are overestimated in a 1,000 guineas, and I guess he's based that on the fact that last winning fav was Special Duty, and didn't she have to work hard for that? I think that was last winning favourite. I'm just getting it up on my screen here.
It's definitely a race where the favourites have not had a great time, and
of course,
and you can definitely take a cut at something at double figures.
Well, 14-1, Hermosa was 14-1 last year. Billiston Brook, who you mentioned yesterday, was Sean Levy for his classic winner, 66-1 when Winter won it for Ballydoyle. She was about fourth favourite, I think, once she went on to hold all before her.
Price was minding.
11-10.
So I think she's she's the only one really that's flown the flag for the favourites in a long, long time.
Special Duty before that, 9-2. That was some race, wasn't it? So let's have a look at the market then, Barry, if you don't mind. For classic time, we're going to sign off here on Racing Post Live with a belter, and it's Quadrilateral. Now that looks to me, Barry, like it's coming in for a lot of love.
Yeah, it really has. It was as big as 3-1, 7-2 at one stage, I think, on the exchange this morning. Mill Island Love are very strong also. Raffles Prize, one of the best backed horses as well. That was a 10-to-1 chance. It was 11 on the exchange this morning. That's come into 8.8, and it's 16-to-1 Bordeaux. But Quadrilateral very strong. I'll be taking her on. I really like Love. I always have. They went to the well with her 7 times last year. Not really unusual for Aidan O'Brien with his fillies, but she's a very, very hardy filly. She's a Grade 1 winner. She won the Moyglare. Didn't let herself down behind Quadrilateral then in Newmarket towards the back end of last season. I'm going to back her, Bruce. I think she'll go very, very close indeed. Interestingly, she's the only runner for Aidan O'Brien. No pacemaker in here. They won't need a pacemaker. It's definitely going to be on the money straight from the get-go. Ryan Moore, I don't think he's off the board yet or on the scoreboard yet at the meeting. So it'd be good to see him ride a big one, especially for Aidan O'Brien, looking like he was on the wrong one yesterday with Wichita going close under Frankie. But I'm back in Love. My second play in the race, Bruce, it's an interesting one. Mill Isle won the Cheveley Park at the track last year. Traded at 50-to-1 that day before getting up to win. So I'm going to back her. I'm going to lay her in the place market, but I'm going to put bet in to lay her back in, or to back her back in running. So I suppose the first bit of business really is to back Love in the win market.
Okay. Yes, it's interesting, isn't it, that Aidan has decided that all you need is Love this year, just the one runner.
Beautiful.
I mean,
Beautifully done.
If you could ever name a racehorse to give headline riders the easiest possible ride, Love is the one.
It's Sue Magnier, isn't it, that picks all the names? She's got them already. I mean, this has obviously been waiting for a special filly. And she is interesting because...
Hang on a sec. So I've got to get this on because I'm worried that we're going to have a plunge. What? So 5.5, 92.
Yeah, let's go 50 quid on that.
Okay, mate.
Yeah. Place that and... Yeah, we're matched there.
We're on. Sorry, Dave, I cut you off
don't
there,
worry.
I was worried
Don't
about
worry,
missing
Bruce.
the
You are
price.
right. All they want to know is what Barry's doing. So we're on. Let's hope you have had a chance to react to that. Mill Isle coming in for some love as well, Barry.
Yeah, I'm going to lay that in the place market, and I'll look to keep a bet to back it back in running. So if you go to the standard each way terms, that's 3 places, Bruce.
Yep. 2.12 to lay.
Yeah, so if we take 50 quid out of that.
Okay, mate.
I'm just looking at Quadrilateral in the prelims.
Is
Boy,
she fucking?
She is full of herself.
Lay that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we go to back it. Then we'll back it in running, and we'll keep the bet for in play.
Okay, right. We haven't got done at 2.12 yet, but I'm sure we will. That's not showing up on the screen. That's weird. Oh no, she's taking a walk. 2.18 now. Do I chase that or sit
chase
in?
it to 218. Yeah, I'm happy to get
Chase it.
218 there. Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's only the difference of a couple of pence.
Right, that's done. So we're on 2.18, and now this is not the complicated bit, but the clever bit. Let's say. So I'm putting up a back.
Yeah. So select to back it, and in the odds type in 5.
4 to 1.
Yeah, and put for a tenner.
A tenner. Okay.
Yeah.
And the theory there, Barry, is that because of the way this is the clever bit. You've got to hit that keep bet. So
that'll keep the bet. When the race goes in play, our bet is going to be one of the bets that will be alive once the race goes in play. All bets, if you don't click that keep bet tab, all bets are cancelled when the race goes in play on Betfair. Shall
we remind of our selections now, Bruce? Go away. Crack on.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone with quadrilateral. I went into last night's big study up thinking that I would come out of this with 1 or 2 outsiders to get stuck into. But the more I looked at the race, I just don't think there's that much kind of promise in a lot of these outsiders. They're a big price for a good reason, that they've shown in 2 or 3 runs at 2 that they don't deserve to be short prices. So I think quadrilateral is the pick. I think Mill Isle is the danger, and I think Love is really solid and should be thereabouts. I've done a reverse forecast of quadrilateral and Mill Isle, and we'll wait and see. I thought if there was one that might run quite well at a big price, it was Under the Stars of James Tate.
Tom Segal give that some love, of course, in his anti-post pick.
Yeah. What about you, Dave?
I've gone for Love simply because I looked at the race and I thought, with Roger Charlton's first time out, and the tongue tie is an interesting angle, isn't it? For a horse that's got 111 next to its name and might be the poster girl for him. It's just to ask a question at the prices. And I loved the way that she won the Fillies Mile. It was her first one in group company. She came off that sizzling win at Newbury, you'll remember. And she, experience-wise, I think she will take the beating of those that ran in that.
Did you see that stat in the Racing Post? Key stat. Quadrilateral wears a tongue tie for the first time and bids to become the first British Classic winner to wear headgear since Virginia Waters 15 years ago.
It's an interesting one, the tongue tie and headgear.
That's
isn't
mad,
it?
isn't it? That's 60 classics ago.
It probably is. Is it the softest form of headgear? It probably is. Isn't it?
I kind of class it as mouth gear rather than headgear.
Yeah, it's a mouthpiece. It's actually a bit of tights usually, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah. That's all they do is just tie some tights around it, just to keep the tongue down. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's
normal like nylon tights.
That's what they do. Yeah,
exactly what it is. Yeah,
it's very bizarre when you see it being done in the paddock. You're like, surely that can't be it. You're right about tongue tie all the time. But listen, okay, so it's Virginia Waters Mark II if you're on it. But I just thought with Roger's horses, he's had 2 winners this week. Smoky Bear was a well-backed winner for him yesterday at the meeting after we went off air. So he'll be happy with that. And let's face it, they've had time, haven't they, in this lockdown to get a Jerry right. I wouldn't be so worried about that. The draw in 6 is quite interesting. Pace is quite interesting. Yes, I'll go on about pace again because we've got the front runners. We're bidding to have
We've
4.
had 3 from 3, haven't we?
We're bidding to make it 4 from 4, and there is a lot of pace on here. If you're Millisle and Oisin Murphy on a horse that's never been beyond 6 furlongs, yes, he's bred to be much better at this mile. Keith Melrose said you take evens about it being a better miler. You're going to have to stalk, surely, because Raffle Prize, we think, will be the head and Boomer.
I mean, I would have thought he might just, and Jesse Harrington might just say, look, keep it simple, do what you've done.
Wow.
If we think she's going to stay, we don't need to chance it. We don't need to, we've seen what front runners are doing today. And also, do we really want to start having to play, Ingemar Stenmark, trying to weave through the field late on? I mean, it might well be that they'll do it simple. And it will also be very interesting to see how the market reacts early on. Do you think, Barry, that people will be beguiled by the front runner now, having seen 3 from 3 off the front?
No, I don't think so. Not in a race like this. I would imagine they're going to be spread across the track, and I don't think there's anything going to get clear the way we have seen in the previous 3 races from Newmarket. I don't think anything's going to get that far in front. No, nothing's going to get a soft lead, that's for sure.
If you're the jockeys, ordinarily they'd be in the weighing room together, wouldn't they, huddling together. Now they've got to, socially distance or whatever. They're sort of, and when it comes to classic time, they keep their cards very close to their chest. But how many potentially are going to try and get the lead? We could be looking at a massive pace duel, a pace burn up front. It's going to be fast and furious. Just to let you know, this could be the call of calls, Bruce.
I want to talk about the top horse with you guys because when I did the podcast with Paul Keeley and David Jennings and one of Barry's colleagues, Frank Hickey, they all went for Boomer.
Yeah,
which I was amazed about. And she's holding her own at 25. I mean, can you give her a squeak, Dave?
Yes, because of the rags, if you like, she only folded very late in that Fillies Mile. She came into it with some good form from the May Hill. I'll tell you who was behind her in the May Hill that day at Doncaster. Run Wild. So that's obviously been given a Powerful Breeze was the victor of that, who did confirm that form in the Fillies Mile, but Powerful Breeze to Hugo Palmer is on the sidelines. If there's a rag, it has to be her because you know that she'll keep it straightforward. The only thing that tempered enthusiasm, Tom Dascombe's, I think he's 1 from 13 prior to today, and he tempered enthusiasm a little bit in his comments saying, I just wish that we'd have got a trial into her. He's the one, so I don't know. But listen, a 20 to 1.
Would be a very popular winner here. Obviously, Chase Moore Farms is owned by Andrew Black, co-founder of Betfair. So that'd be great to see. He's put a lot of money into breeding and into Chase Moore Farms. So I think it'd be great to see him be duly rewarded with a classic winner.
I must admit, I did kind of wince when I saw his quote in the Racing Post. He says, and I quote, "Our horses are running sort of as you'd expect them to, and I think that's the biggest indicator." Sort of, it wasn't exactly one of those Clive Britton jobs, was it? This thing's going to win half the track.
You get the feeling that the Fred Darling or something like that was the big plan for this, at that Newbury April meeting that we've lost. So first time out, she was beaten first time out, but I don't know. She's a very popular filly because she goes well at a price, doesn't she?
And it's a good name, isn't it?
Boomer.
A lot of punters will be like,
booming.
That's a sexy old
What
name.
about shimmering in the market, Barry? Because we're talking about Frankie Dettori and John Gosden, very unexposed, the right colours, Lati Dar, Too Darn Hot, etc. Looked at the form of her polytrack win, it's okay. She was comprehensive that day. Would we be expecting her to be a bit shorter?
No, her graph is going up that way, Dave. She's on the slide. She was matched as low as 14 to 1. The last price matched about her was 29, so she's doubled in price.
You don't like a Gosden drifter, do you? I don't really. I think we were talking about it earlier. With Johnson horses drifting, not bothered about it. I don't. They come in so much for support when they're expected. I think.
Although Palace Pier drifted yesterday.
Fair
and was
point.
Very impressive. It's funny actually, Barry. Looking at the market now, it looks like the front four have actually hardened to a greater or lesser degree. Love's probably the least strong of those in the market, but Quadrilateral's into 3.65, Millile into 4.9. It's now out to 5.9 Love and 7.4 very solid raffle price. What do we think of Jason?
Very solid raffles price.
What do we think of Jason Watson here? Because he was so great in that year when he won his apprenticeship, wasn't he? And he's a cool hand, isn't he? But
Yes.
equally, it's a big old test, isn't it, for him?
He went to Australia at the same time as Tom Marquand. He didn't have quite the same success. I think he was probably positioned wrong. I think, but again, he's one of the boys, isn't he, with Oshin and Tom Marquand. That this is probably his big horse for the season. Pressure's on, isn't it? In a big way. Quadrilateral for Bruce then. Myself and Barry Orr like Love. I put Love up simply because I think she's the most likely to absolutely run a race. But she's, by their top stallion, a Galileo, by a mile 4. It all looks the Oaks. We could have a new Oaks favourite here in Love, potentially, Barry.
Yeah, I tell you, lads, Ryan Moore does a blog on Betfair, as you know, and he's never really that bullish, but he says today about Love, I think my filly is very solid, and I'll be disappointed if she isn't placed at the very least. Strong words from Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I think, anyone would look at the form and say that, she's got the form and the consistency to be thereabouts. You certainly would be disappointed. But, I mean, at this stage, she's under threat as third favourite now because raffle prize is really, really solid. 6.8 compared to Love's 6. Millile back out to 5.3 and it's 3.8 Quadrilateral. Cloak of Spirits is fifth favourite, clear fifth favourite at 18. A bit of money for Summer Romance. Will Buick for Godolphin.
That's an
Charlie
interesting
Appleby
horse.
looking for some classic recompense after Pinatubo yesterday. Can you give that a chance, Dave?
She was favourite on all of her 4 starts last year. She won the first 2, and I think they thought she was the second coming. She went to the King George meet. She ran a stinker in the Princess Margaret behind Under the Stars, but a lot of people weren't overly enamoured with the tactics that day. And she then went to Salisbury, and she was well beaten by a horse called Dark Lady. That does put her behind Millard a little bit, but again, you'd like to see a bit more support for it, I think.
Okay. I'm just going to have a quick check on the profit loss going into it, Barry.
Yeah, I think we're winning 350 quid, Bruce. We're winning around that. Now, don't worry about commission or anything like that, and we'll round it up whatever the figure is as
lovely.
well. For charity. We're going to be making a donation to Race and Welfare regardless of what happens here.
It's been a great day, isn't it? We're slightly over post time here, chaps, aren't we? It looks like we're at least another 2 or 3 minutes off, I think, maybe even 5 looking at this.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one for the
You'd have to
stallholders.
say the gamble of the weekend is, without a shadow of a doubt, Raffles price. Like, it takes a lot of money in a competitive race like this to almost half in price, and that's what he's done, the Mark Johnson horse. Interestingly, by Slade Power.
Yeah.
Don't know whether he'll get many that'll stay a mile.
The Queen Mary winner, of course.
Slade Power was great, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Do you remember when him and Soul Power were coming and they weaved through the field?
Watch that
they?
back.
They were so charismatic.
Even a
those
furlong
two.
out, you're thinking, how on earth can that win? Yeah, and Richard Hughes was seen to his very best on that. She was touched off by Earthlight as well, wasn't she, in France, which is probably one of the performances of the year for a filly, if not the performance probably of the year. So again, the form is there. It's just whether she'll stay. Slade Power, as you've alluded to, proper 5 furlong horse. It's Johnson, and it is there on the dam side if they want it. But it's her run style which makes you think that she might potentially be running on empty. But
And
listen,
let me tell you this, she's almost second favourite
Wow.
now. 3.85 quadrilateral, clear at the head of the market. Millile 5.6, Love 5.8 and raffle prize 6.
Mikel Barcelona comes over from France, the top French jockey to ride for Mark Johnson, closely connected to the owner, of course. And like Jamie Spencer, he is, when they are allowed to run from the front, these boys are just absolutely mustard. He's a brilliant front-running jockey, Barcelona. So I guess if you're Love and if you're Millard, you're looking to tag on to raffle prize early. Quadrilateral right over the other side. So absolutely fascinating. Could they split?
Yeah, oh yeah, without a shadow of
You
doubt.
think we're on for,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
on
yeah.
for a split in your commentary?
Oh, no question, yeah. Not just because I'm commentating, and that'll make it even more impossible. But I mean, we've
You can
we've
throw
seen-
to us as much as you like this
We've
time.
seen them split with far smaller fields than that today, so it's going to be really interesting. They're nearly all in for the 2020 Kipco 1,000 guineas.
Good luck, lads.
Here we go.
Can Quadrilateral give Khalid Abdullah yet another classic win? unbeaten in 3 at the age of 2, and they are off, and one dwelt quite badly at the start. That was Yes Always, right on the stand side. Cutting out the early running is Cloak of Spirits. Quadrilateral is right up there. Rose of Kildare as well, yet another of the Bravehearts. And also prominent early doors is Final Song. But Quadrilateral's jumped out, Dave, and is sitting pretty, having to be restrained in actual fact.
Yeah, I think the story of the race so far is that Raffle Prize is being ridden for stamina. A Johnson horse right out the back. They haven't split, Bruce. You're an absolute clover there.
Raffle Prize is 15. I mean, they've really taken unkindly to that. OK, let's see what happens as Cloak of Spirits for Richard Hannon and Andrea Atzani has a 1-length lead. Jason Watson is really having his arms pulled out by Quadrilateral. Going quite well, he's under the stars down the near side, as well as Rose of Kildare and also Final Song. Love is coming there now, so they're really closely bunched. Raffle Prize has been ridden in rear and doesn't look very promising. She's going to have to be an absolute aeroplane to win from there. Let's see where Mill Isle is. Mill Isle is on is being ridden as well.
Come on, Ryan.
But now we're seeing the race come together. And Love down the near side looks the one that's got the best chance. It looks like it's going to be Love.
Come on then.
But on the far side, Cloak of Spirits is still going wrong. Quadrilateral is not done with yet, and also very close is Final Song. But Love down the near side, can she do it? Down the far side is Cloak of Spirits, but Love has put this race to bed. And Ryan Moore, a brilliant weekend for Ryan Moore. Love comes through, and Love conquers all to win by 4 lengths from Cloak of Spirits and Quadrilateral. A fantastic performance. Well done, lads. You knew.
Well done, Bruce Millington. Love conquers all, and love is all you need. If you're the headline writers, Bruce has given it to you for tomorrow's paper. Absolutely fantastic. So much to take out of that race. Barry Orr, what price did she can't have gone too big, Barry. She was always up there.
Always up there. Ryan had her in a perfect position all the way, didn't he? He was just on the near side. Didn't trade above her BSP, and her BSP of 5.8, trade at 6.4, but not in running. That was a pre-race price. Was always thereabouts. The runner-up Cloak of Spirits traded at a low of 4.6, BSP of 16.9. But Love has done it again. One entry for Maiden O'Brien. You know, you got to sit up and take notice of these things. She's a filly, a hardy filly. We said it beforehand. She truly is, and she danced every dance last year. And she's been justly rewarded for them this time round. And she, when she steps up to the Oaks trip, I think we have a new Oaks favourite. I'm just waiting for the guys to text me.
Cloak of Spirits in second. Immediately you're thinking, I'm not sure about the form. But she was, of course, just off Dyer in the Rockfell, which is usually a leading 1,000 guineas trial, just because of price. And it's Hannon. I mean, I think she's a very good horse. She got on the front end, didn't she? So she's probably slightly flattered on that front. Quadrilateral, Bruce. Roger Charlton said we think she'll improve for the stretching out a little bit. It looked all over Philly there, hit the flat spot and was coming back. Yeah,
I mean, she was, really, really battling Jason Watson early on. She's run a fairly good race, hasn't she? She's run fine. But, yeah, you're talking about Oaks. I mean, I can forget, frankly, darling, that
what
thing...
What price do you think she should be for the Oaks, lads?
She's got to be about 2 to 1. And
I was going to say
maybe
6 to 4.
Yeah, I'm thinking around about that.
Bruce, you're closest for the Oaks.
I'm not surprised. That was just... Look how she's quickened there in the final half furlong. Yeah. She is quickened away superbly. That's just absolutely superb. That's a really, really great performance. Was that Romsey running on extremely late for Hughie Morrison? That was very interesting.
Okay,
that really has come through. But I mean, other than that, Mill Isle unfortunately didn't really land a blow. Raffle Prize is virtually last. I think she might even have finished last. She was never going well.
She was last, Bruce. Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about love. I mean, this is a really, really impressive victory, and it's exciting, isn't it? Because you want the Guineas to throw. They're not trials, they're races in their own right, but they are the first big meaningful action of the season. And if you've got something that comes out and runs like that, it sets it all up for a very exciting season.
She was having her 7th start in the Fillies Mile, wasn't she? Or 6th start in the Fillies Mile when she was beaten by Quadrilateral. Maybe slightly, she'd had a lot of running by that time in the season, and the clue was just the one filly for Aidan O'Brien. But if you think how much she might improve, it reminds me of Peeping Fawn a couple of years ago. Do you remember that great filly that they had? They just get better, his fillies, as they race and race and race. And my goodness me, Epsom are now all of a sudden rubbing their hands. They've got the 2 Guineas winners that are going to be pointing that way. That was impressive, the way that she just got into a beautiful rhythm. She's uncomplicated. She'll be up there at Epsom. She's bred to stay all day long. She might even get a St Leger trip. And she is an absolute beauty. What a name. They've got it right, haven't they?
That really was sensational. And well done, boys. You put them up. And Barry, the charity is absolutely flying.
Yeah, I think we won. We won about $550, did we?
Let's have a quick look. Okay, betting profit and loss. We've got the commission as well. But yeah, it's nearly 600 quid.
Aye.
600 quid to go. Would say 100 from yesterday, is it?
Yeah.
Harry,
700 quid for racing welfare. So that's not a bad couple of days' work from the three of us. Well done, boys.
No, never mind. Well done, boys. All down to you. Brilliant, Barry. Well played, my friends.
That is absolutely fantastic. That kind of, what a way to sign off on the show. Racing Post Live. We're near the end of the show, Bruce. It's great to be back.
It's really got a fantastic weekend. It really was brilliant. It wasn't just all about the Guineas. There was superb support and action as well. And we've now got a whole load of clues that we can take into Royal Ascot, the Derby, the Oaks and beyond. The flat season, it was worth waiting for. We've missed a month and we've missed it dearly. But what a brilliant first weekend it's been. Absolutely sensational. And I've loved covering it with you, Dave, and with you, Barry. It's been really exciting.
Yeah, Barry, it was your debut on the show. Betfair's big hitter has been in there. He had his bookshelf, he had his picture, and absolutely, he's got his headphones on. And have you enjoyed it, Barry? It's something different, isn't it? We have a bit of fun here, and we got the money, which is important for the charity. But what was your highlight, Barry, if you had to just pick one for us quickly?
It's been absolutely brilliant. It truly has. And the mark of it is that it's gone so fast. It doesn't seem like I've been here with you guys for the last couple of days at all. It's just gone like that. Really enjoyable. Really enjoyed your company. And I thought it showed the exchange to great effect. My highlight has to be Love. And yesterday to see Oisin Murphy ride his first Guineas winner was a massive, massive thing as well in Kamiko. But Love, I've liked her all along for the Guineas. Put her up in the Racing Post last week as my idea of the Guineas winner and the Oaks winner. And really looking forward to see her for the rest of the season now. But really enjoyed it, lads. Thank you so much for having me. And please, God, you'll have me back again.
Oh, yeah, and we're not that far off. You'll be back June the 16th, first day of Royal Ascot, not as we know it.
What's that, June? That's Tuesday
That's
week.
That's a Tuesday. Unbelievable.
Tuesday week.
What about these horses? I mean, just quickly, are we looking at bounces or should we just not worry about that?
Don't worry about it.
Can't worry about it.
Look, we've got too much to work through now. I mean, I'm blown away by Love. I'm really excited by her.
The headline writers have got it easy, haven't they?
Yeah. Love
is in the air. Racing Post Live with the Betfair Exchange. Let us know what you thought of today. How did you get on? We go through all the feedback. RP Live, hashtag, YouTube and Facebook. Thanks ever so much for joining us. Bruce, I'll see you on that first Tuesday.
Yeah,
happy days. From us all and the boys in the studio, great work from them today as well. We are back. We'll see you for Royal Ascot.